Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the RDX Sports Podcast. My name is Simon Head. Bit of a different show for you this week. We're audio only because we are on the road. We're moving around all over the place and it just wasn't possible to get behind the camera for any major length of time. It's a bit of a crazy week. We are here in Manchester, England for UFC 304. 2 title fights featuring British athletes at the top of the card. RDX Sports' own ambassador himself, Mr. Leon Rocky Edwards, is in the main event, defending his undisputed welterweight title against long-time rival Belal Muhammad in a fight that's been 3 years in the making. And in the co-main event, Tom Aspinall, the interim heavyweight champion of the world, looking to prove to the world that he is the number one heavyweight on the planet when he takes on long-time contender Curtis Blades, who gets a long-awaited and much-deserved shot at championship gold this weekend in another rematch. That one was the fight, of course, that saw Aspinall suffer that terrible knee injury that put him on the shelf for a year. Only lasted 15 seconds. Hopefully we see a few more seconds on Saturday night. I say Saturday night, by the time both of those guys are in the cage fighting, it will be deep into Sunday morning. This event is taking place on US PPV prime time, even though we're here in the UK. So all the timings for everything this week have been off kilter. We've had Media Day, which started at 2 p.m, finished at 8 p.m. We've got the press conference later today. We've got the weigh-ins, which would normally be early in the morning. They're going to be in the afternoon. The ceremonial weigh-ins, which are normally in the afternoon, will be in the evening. And then fight night, for those of you who are used to staying up late to watch Las Vegas fight nights, it's exactly the same time. So the first fight will probably be about 11:30 p.m. on the early prelims. Then we have the televised prelims, which will be 1 a.m. on Sunday morning. And then the main card, which will be pay-per-view in the States, will be 3 a.m. UK time. So the sort of times that you're used to when you're watching the UFC stateside, they're the same times as those. Difference is it's going to be here in the UK, in Manchester, at the brand new Co-op Live Arena, just on the outskirts of the city, just a stone's throw from Manchester City's Etihad Stadium. So we will be there on Saturday night. This week has been a bit of a strange one, obviously, with the time changes and everything. Media Day was a busy one, and I thought on the podcast this week I would share with you a little bit of the audio from that Media Day. You can watch the videos via the official UFC.com website. You can watch the videos from the official UFC YouTube page as well, and we will get those up on the RDX Sports blog for you to enjoy as well. But I thought I'd share a little bit of the audio that I captured while I was there. And some very interesting stuff. Let's kick off, shall we, with Belal Muhammad, the man who is looking to challenge for the welterweight title in the main event, has been carrying this like some sort of vendetta in his head ever since that unfortunate eye poke from Leon drew a premature end to that fight with Leon back in Las Vegas 3 years ago. He's been wanting a rematch ever since. He gets that rematch this weekend, and he doesn't just want to win. He doesn't just want to become the champion. He doesn't just want to beat Leon Rocky Edwards. In his words, he wants to torture him and doesn't want to knock him out, doesn't want to submit him, wants to drag him through hell for 5 whole rounds to prove just how superior he is to the current undisputed welterweight champion of the world. It was a very interesting little media session we had with Belal yesterday, and I thought I'd share all of it with you right here. Check it out.
Obviously, this is a fight week that you've been calling for the better part of the last 2 years. So, now that fight camp's over and you're only a handful of days away from challenging for the undisputed welterweight title, what's the emotions now that you finally got this fight you've been calling for?
Man, it feels great. I've been starving for this day. I've been waiting for this day forever. And just in general, I just love to fight. I've been in the practice room. I've been training for a full year, waiting. And once we finally got the date, it was locked in. Then camp went by so fast. It was one of the hardest camps we've had. And now it's fight week. We made it here. It's healthy. We're in Manchester. And man, Saturday night's going to be epic.
Have you been training for Leon specifically for a while? Because I feel like there's been a couple champion since you've been on this run, and even he's fought Colby, he's fought Kamaru twice. But did you know it would probably be Leon again at some point for the title?
100%. I've been training for Leon since 3 years ago, since that fight. I've been wanting that fight back forever, so I've been watching him, paying attention to him, studying him, and like you said, I was just weighed in as a backup for him and Kobe, and we weren't really training for Kobe. It was all just a camp for Leon. So it's basically one guy we trained for the last year and a half, 2 years, and yeah, we got dialed in.
And obviously since then you've been saying, like, I'm going to walk through him, I could 50-42 this guy and all that. So I'm just curious, why don't you envision like a stoppage win? Because when we hear you talk, it's always, I'm going to kind of drag him through the fire for 5 rounds.
Because I want to torture him. I want him to realize how much better I am than him. When you go out there, you get a finish, people go, oh, you got lucky, you did this, oh, it happened because of that. But if I go out there and dominate him and beat him in all aspects of MMA, wrestling, grappling, striking, jiu-jitsu, get him to the point of making him want to quit. That's what I want. I want to torture him. I want him to the point of looking at his coaches, and his coaches had nothing to say and they walk away because they're embarrassed. That's what I want it to feel like on Saturday night.
Do you think you're getting under his skin at all?
I don't care about getting under his skin. I care about getting through his skin.
And obviously, we heard your coach compare you. He was talking about your boxing. He said, hands like Canelo and this and that. So is this something you've been focused on specifically for this camp, or have you always kind of been training your hands and this is just where you are now?
Yeah, I think every fight we're trying to bring something new, right? Every fight you see me evolving. So for this last year, all we've been doing is getting better and better and better in all aspects of MMA. I have the best striking coach in the world, and all we do is try to get better as ourselves. We don't really care what Leon's going to bring to the table because we know that our best version is the best fighter in the world. Our best version could be anybody in the world. So we sharpen our striking skills, we sharpen our boxing skills. People are going to hate it, they're going to say whatever they want to say, but you guys will see it Saturday night when I show out there.
And you also said with a win that you think you could become the second greatest welterweight ever, just behind GSP. What else would you have to do in your mind to kind of take that mantle as the best ever?
I think just continue on winning, right? When you look at my resume, people don't, when you look back at it, Damian Maia fought for the title twice, Wonderboy fought for the title twice, Luke weighed in as a backup and he should have fought for the title, Gilbert fought for the title, all these guys that were at the top during this era, and it's not like I beat them all on 5-fight losing streaks. They were all winning at the times that I was beating them, and I made it look easy and I walked through them. So if I go out here and beat Leon, who beat Usman twice, who everybody thought was up there with GSP, I think maybe a couple more of the young up-and-comers, right? Because even beating Leon, they're going to say, this guy's going to beat me next. Oh, this guy's going to beat me next. They're still going to doubt me. So if I just keep going out there, beating the next guy that's in line, beating the best guys, my resume, I want it just to be, unmatchable.
And just 2 final quick ones. Have you had a chance to run into Curtis? You guys are both like Chicago guys coming over to England, fighting for, your dream. So is it kind of special to have him there with you, knowing you came from the same place, you're both chasing the same thing on the same card?
Yeah, it's epic, right? I saw him yesterday. We always chop it up. He's cool, man. Both of us being from Chicago, like my coach put it out there, Lou put it out there the other day. He's like, Chicago, we need to stand up. We got 2 Chicago boys going to England fighting for a championship. It doesn't happen, right? And Chicago's sports suck right now. So,
True.
We're the only chance of bringing gold back to the city.
And then last one for me, I don't know if you saw, but on November 1st, they're going to roll out some of these new rule changes that allow 12 to 6 elbows, and they've redefined what a grounded opponent is. Curious if you hear this news, and what do you make of these rule changes that people seem to think should have been made a long time ago?
Yeah, I think the 12 to 6 elbow should have been a while ago. So I don't think it really make a difference. I think people, regardless, they throw in. It's just whatever the ref sees, right? If he sees that angle or he doesn't see that angle, the only person that I've ever seen throw a 12 to 6 elbow where it got DQ'd was John Jones.
Sure.
Bilal, you've made it clear that, just over here, Bilal, you made it clear that you hate Leon Edwards. You've said that numerous times throughout this build-up. Can you explain why you're using that word? It's a strong word. Why is it so personal for you with Leon?
It's very personal because when you look at, his path to the title and the way he did it, it's very similar to mine, right? He had to go the long road. Nobody was respecting him. Nobody gave him a shot. And then I took a fight on short notice against him. And he committed the foul. He injured me. And the fight got stopped because of that. So, there was a lot of, on my end, it was like my first main event. This is supposed to be my spot, my time to shine, this, and this. And it was like taken from me by him. and he wouldn't give me another shot. And then he tried to just play it off like, oh, I would have won anyway. I would have did this anyway. And then when you put that narrative out there, fans are just like, oh, well, he's probably right. So from there on out, I just had it in the back of my mind. I had that bad taste in the back of my head this whole time that, man, I want to feel what would have happened. I want to see what would have happened. And then I'm dominating all these guys, winning all these guys, and then they're still disrespecting my streak. Him, his coach, his team, they're still saying, oh, he's not nice. We need somebody else. We need somebody else. We need somebody else. So the disrespect that he had, he felt it. He started giving it to me. So that's what pissed me off. That's what's pushing me to hate the guy. That's what's making me excited to make him bleed, to make him break.
You mentioned how your team has compared your boxing, your striking to Canelo. Do you feel like Leon and the UK fans are really underestimating your stand-up and are going to be surprised on Saturday night?
Man, I really hope he is underestimating it. I've been underestimated my last 5 fights, and not one of those fights has been a close fight. Not one of those fights has been a hard fight. They've all been easy. And I said that Leon's going to be my easiest fight. So what does that tell you? The fans, the people, that they could say whatever they want to say, they could doubt me. But my team, my family, they know how hard I work. They know what we do in the gym. They know what we're doing behind closed doors. And those are the only opinions that really matter to me.
How is it having Khabib supporting you as well? Because you mentioned that he's helped with the game plan for this one.
I mean, it's always amazing, right? For a guy that I consider the Michael Jordan of the sport, the GOAT of the sport, to like message me and ask me how I'm doing fight week. And I'm just like, bro, why you're messaging me? It's surreal still. But it's always cool. It's not like humbling, but it's just like amazing to see where we are now. Like my coach always tells me, enjoy the journey. Think of where we started, where we were. And when I always go back to like the Facebook memories, when you get those in your Facebook, and it's like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, where you were wishing for even being close to where you are now. So it's just being grateful for the journey and grateful for all the people in my life that actually want to see me win. Like genuinely out of their heart, they want to just see me succeed, and they don't want nothing from it.
Final one for me. Is that a tricky situation though? Because Islam has made it very clear he wants to move up, and he's supported by Khabib. That would be 2 guys supported by Khabib. Be a tough spot for him in the middle, wouldn't it, if that was to happen?
I mean, I would never fight Islam. He's my brother. So I think for myself, like I said, maybe there's 2 or 3 guys that are next in line after this fight that I think I win, and then I have a chance to move up to middleweight. So I'm never really looking that far ahead, but I think that he still got some fighters to fight. I still got some fighters to fight, and then we both can move up.
Bilal, down here to your left. You mentioned obviously your deep-rooted hatred of Leon. We've seen fighters go into fights before with such hatred towards somebody, and it's affected their game plan. How are you gonna make sure that doesn't happen to you?
I think it helps me because the last 5 or 6 fighters I've had, a lot of them were nice guys, like Wonder Boy, Maya, even Gilbert Burns, Luque. They're all nice. And you're trying to figure out ways to, fuel yourself. The Sean Brady fight, I fueled myself because he was talking trash. I was doubted so much in that fight. They said he was going to walk through me, and then that fuel made me go out there with a chip on my shoulder. That's the same fuel that's bringing this fight, but it's even more now.
And you obviously arrived in enemy territory a couple of days ago. What's the reception been like in Manchester so far?
Honestly, it feels like home. I literally had more fans show up to the airport when I arrived than Leon had when he arrived at the Bell. Like the people here have been great. It feels like I have family here now. They're taking care of me, my team, giving them all food and everything. It's like I haven't had no issues at all.
And a lot of fighters who've come here and tasted the enemy territory, the booze or whatever, they get fueled by it. Are you expecting the same to be for you?
I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be 5 a.m. so a lot of them will be tired and sleepy, so they're not going to have the energy to boo. But if they do, it doesn't really matter because like I have an ear for the people that I love. So I'm going to hear my family cheering. My dad is making the trip down, so that's going to be amazing. And those are the only ones that really matter to me.
And final one for me, you've got a lot of ice on there. What's the bottom of the chain?
This is a Handela. This is a character for his back is turned, and his back will turn. You'll see his face once Palestine is free. So I'm working with a company and a jeweler in Chicago. It's called VVS King. He made this for me, and he wants to auction it off and raffle it off after the fight, and then give all proceeds to Gaza.
And you and I briefly talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but have you thought of that moment of being able to raise the flag with the UFC belt?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be surreal. And like I said, I always keep saying, I just want to give the people there something to cheer for, give them some victory, give them something to look at and say, that's my flag. We got a real champion.
Thank you.
Bilal, over here, right behind you.
Oh.
So, considering how long it took you to get the title shot, you almost feel a bit of pressure, like this could be your only opportunity?
I mean, this is my Super Bowl regardless. When you look at the NFL, you look at the NBA, like teams will make it to the Super Bowl and never make it again. I'm not looking at it as I need a second chance or I need a best of 7 series. This is my moment. This is what we've been working for the last 5 years. So your next fight is always your most important fight, but this is really the biggest fight that you're ever going to have. And I'm going all in with this fight. So there's not going to be any holding back. There's not going to be any, all right, well, let's save a little on the gas tank. Our gas is going to be empty after this.
And previously when I'd spoken to you, were kind of bothered by Leon's lack of fight promotion. Now he's done some media. Do you feel like he's promoting the fight a little bit better, or do you still feel that way?
I mean, he's not really doing media. He's whispering, right? He just looks stupid. I'd rather have his coach talk, because his coach was talking trash yesterday. So it'll be a funner build-up talking with that little gremlin.
Yeah, speaking of that, that's the run in the elevator, right? What could you tell us about that?
I just heard like a little short freaking midget screaming something, and I was like, what the heck was that? And I saw it, and it ended up being his coach in front. But Leon and his team, they didn't say nothing. His brother was trying to give me a dirty look, but he didn't know I was sizing him up for after the cage. If he ends up hopping in the cage, wanted to do something.
So you didn't talk to Leon at all in that interaction?
No, it was mostly just his coach.
All right, and one more for me. We've obviously representing Palestine has been massive for you throughout this camp. We saw that clip on Countdown, that incredibly emotional clip. How did you connect with the kid initially, Jude, and how did you end up bringing him over to America? What was the backstory?
It's been amazing, right? We work with PCRF, Palestinian Children Relief Fund. They do a great job of creating cancer centers out there, but now it's a lot harder there to do that now. So now their goal is to bring families over there that are in need of medical need and bringing them to America. So they were able to bring Jude and his father. They lost their mother in the bombing as she was protecting him, and they brought 2 other brothers down, and now they're bringing multiple families down for medical need. So like when Jude first came, he literally had like screws coming out of his kneecap because like his kneecap got dislocated. So they don't have no anesthesia there right now. They don't have any medical supplies over there. So they're doing everything on the floor, on the ground. So we had to bring him to America. And once he got here, we were able to give him medical help at the Ronald McDonald Center in Chicago. He was able to start doing rehab over there, and he's on the right track now. Now he's on the right track of what a kid's life should be. Kids, to buy him toys and see him playing, and it makes you emotional.
Well, given how long Leon made you wait for this rematch when you get the win, if you get the win, is it going to be sweet to, kind of deny him when he comes for that rematch?
I mean, he hasn't earned a rematch. Who would you beat? You beat Kobe, who sucks, and then you beat Usman in the rematch. So there's really nothing that I think entails him for a rematch. What I'm going to do to him, they're going to be like, bro, there's no point in doing a rematch. I'm going to walk through him, and they're going to be like, back to the bottom of the ladder. Leon, this guy was the champion? No way, this guy sucks.
One of the things I feel like has rubbed you the wrong way is the way you spoke about UFC 300 and saying UFC didn't want you in that slot. From your perspective, was that ever talked about as a possibility of you and Leon headlining that show?
I mean, he's talking like he's a superstar. The guy literally goes in hiding after every one of his fights. People don't know who he is. I was walking down Manchester, like, who are you fighting? I said, Leon Edwards. Like, who's that? I was like, it's your guy's champion. No, we don't know that guy. Like, people don't know who he is. He doesn't promote himself. He doesn't talk. So for the UFC, they were probably like, nah, we'll wait till after Ramadan. So Bilal has a full camp, a best camp, and we'll keep it that way.
Bilal, over here. When you watch the first fight back with Leon and you look at now, how do you feel you have evolved as a fighter and how Leon has evolved as a fighter?
I mean, I changed I'm a whole different person. Like literally, that fight was 3 weeks notice. It was after a Diego Lima fight, and a lot goes into short notice fights. So for me, that fight, I don't really care about watching that fight back because I'm not nothing like that person. I'm not nothing like I was the last year. I'm not nothing like I was last week. Every day I'm getting better. Every day I'm growing. Every day we're working. So the version I am now would kill any version that I was back then. Leon, it's basically the same. I think we've seen him the last 2 or 3 fights do the same exact stuff, and he's fought like the same style of fighter, right? Usman and Kobe are kind of the same. The Kobe fight was basically a freebie because neither one of them did anything. And then the Usman third fight was kind of, Usman wasn't the same fighter. So I think Leon got a lot of credit for that fight, but I think Usman just rushed back after that head kick, and he didn't have the same confidence and swagger that he usually does.
And you mentioned Leon's fighters, previous fights being similar-based fighters. You are also a wrestling-based fighter. Where do you feel your style is different from the likes of Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington?
I think I just have a higher IQ than both of them. I push a different pace than both of them. I've been saying forever that Kobe's has cardio kickboxing, and he showed it his last one. It was just like UFC gym kickboxing. Usman doesn't keep a high pace. He has great pressure, great strength, but I do it all. I have strength, pressure, power, grappling, and I put it all together better than anybody in the UFC.
Last one for me. You mentioned being the underdog in your last 5 fights. Why do you feel that fighters, bookies, and fans underestimate you?
I just think that they want to see me lose because I'm going against their favorite fighters, right? The fan favorites in Wonder Boy, Luke A, Gilbert, and then they look at me and they see that I'm just from a small gym in Chicago. I didn't start martial arts when I was 5 years old. I don't have a black belt in anything. I didn't wrestle in college. So they just assume that I'm supposed to suck. But nobody works harder than me. And people will say that and do this, but if you come and work out with me, none of these guys will push like I push. None of these guys see the game like I see the game and break the game down as I break the game down and have the IQ that I have.
Best of luck, Bill.
Just down to you right here. There's someone who's been very critical of the fight in Conor McGregor. In the future, is that a fight that you relish to take? Is it a big money fight for you as well?
I mean, anytime you bring him up, it's a money fight, right? But I don't know. If he's pulling out for a freaking toe to fight Michael Chandler, he'll probably pull out for like a broken nail to fight me.
Hey, Bilal Black here. This is Priest. With the victory on Saturday over Leon Edwards, what is the first thing you plan to do with the belt?
The first thing I plan to do with the belt is give it to my coach, Lewis Taylor. He's been with me since high school, and we started this together.
All good.
Well, earlier this week, in one interview, did you question Leon's desire, and especially in the second fight with Usman, you said, ahead of the 5th round, that he needed the motivation from his coach. Is that something that you genuinely believe that you maybe lack desire?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you look at a lot of teams, a lot of coaches, and his coach is more like a cheerleader. Maybe it's because his coach sucks, and he has no really advice, so he's just giving him more like hype words. Come on, Leon, you got to do this. And if you're a champion and you need somebody to hype you up and need somebody to like push you, you're not really a champion. Like, you don't belong there. I'm a guy that my coach needs to tell me to slow down. My coach needs to tell me to take a day off. Leon's probably one of those guys where his coach needs to stand behind him in the car beeping like, come on, Leon, push a little harder. Let's jog a little longer. And they go freaking paint their nails afterward.
So there you go. Remember the name Bilal Muhammad is a man on a mission. I think that's pretty evident from his comments at Media Day there. And this has been weighing on his mind for 3 long years. And look, make no mistake, this is a very different Bilal Muhammad to the one that stepped into the cage with Leon Edwards 3 years ago. He has levelled up significantly. Leon's game has also improved significantly as well. But I think in terms of sheer improvement, Bilal's game has gone levels above the place he was at when he fought Leon first time. So it'll be really interesting to see if he can implement his game on Leon, who just looks so composed and comfortable and in the right place, if you like, as the UFC's premier 170-pound athlete. So looking forward to seeing how that one goes. Leon obviously heard these comments on Media Day. We saw him a little bit later on in the day. We had the opportunity to put some of those comments to Leon, and he was pretty bemused and almost borderline amused by some of the things that Mohammed and his team have said in the lead up to this fight. So here's what Leon had to say at Media Day yesterday.
Leon, this is a bit of a weird question, but are you kind of surprised just how much Bilal seems to hate you?
I am 100%. For some reason, I don't know what scenario is built in his head. Before first time, everyone seen how the fight went. Ended in eye poke. Now we're having a rematch. That's where it starts and ends with me. You know what I mean? For him, it's kind of built up like a mad scenario in his head where, I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird.
He's bumping into each other, he's popping off, he's saying he's going to do all these mad scenarios to you and embarrass you, torture you is the word he used today. Do you think he's being out of character, or do you think he's realised, like, I'm going to have to start promoting myself to try and get these opportunities again? Or what do you make of his behaviour this week?
I feel like he's trying to talk himself in the fight, you know. He's trying to convince himself that he's better than what he is, I feel. It's the only way I can see it. I can't see what else there is, you know. So yeah, that's it really.
Do you find it a little bit weird with some of the things that he's saying, considering how he usually fights in the cage? Considering what he's saying is a little bit...
Yeah, it's contradiction, right? Like, when has he ever tortured anybody in the cage? Like, when has he ever knocked nobody out? When has he ever, like, he's going to choke me out halfway, let me up, look at my brother, let me back up, look at my coach. I was like, bro, you're deluded, you know. He even came out today and said that, well, not today. I said that if he beats me, which he won't, he's top in GSP. Yeah, I mean, he's like, his boxing coach came out and said he's got same as Canelo. He's like, how's going on? It's like, I don't know. It's a weird thing, but it is what it is.
The first time you fought him, you came out like pretty aggressive. You know, really set the forward motion. Was that because you just saw something in him where I don't feel a threat from him, or is it because you had been on the sidelines for so long with COVID and all the rest of it? Why did you fight that aggressively in that fight?
A bit of both. I believe I'm better than him, you know, so I feel like I am levels above him, and that's the way I fought, and that's the way I'm going to fight Saturday night. I truly believe I'm levels above him, and Saturday night I'll prove that again.
He was in here saying, you know, he's better than Kamari, better than Colby.
Who is?
Bilal said that he's better. Well, you can't answer my question. When you look at him compared to those two, do you think this is an easier fight?
I don't know. Let's see. You know, I think Kamara's better than him, obviously. But let's see. Like I said, I'm taking him serious because whatever he's using to convince himself to be in the fight, I have to take him seriously, you know. But we'll see. Sunday morning, I'll answer it again.
Leon, Bilal's team are saying that his boxing is on the same level. Have you seen? Yeah. What do you make of that? And just touching on the hatred vibes that he's been giving off towards you, you seem the complete opposite. You seem like you care less.
I don't get it. You know, I don't know where it's coming from. You know what I mean? I haven't said much really, apart from like bantering. And for me, it's not banter. For him, he's like taking it deadly serious. You know what I mean? So, as far as the Canelo thing, I think that's like everyone knows. Hey, that's just what the fuck. You know what I mean?
Do you expect him to stand and strike with you for more than a few minutes in the fight, or do you know his game like the back of your hand at this point?
He might try to. You know what I mean? He won't have much success in it. I think everyone knows his game plan would be to come out and try wrestling. But even his wrestling ain't all that really. You know what I mean? He ain't a fucking Khabib or like the GSP. It's Bilal. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. Let's see.
You mentioned Khabib there. Khabib has supposedly come up with a game plan to beat you, and Bilal believes he'll do the same thing to you that Khabib did to Conor McGregor. And
I ain't Conor McGregor and you ain't Khabib. You know, a man like you can't use Khabib to credit yourself. You ain't Khabib. You didn't grow up with Khabib. You probably trained like for a little bit. That's about it. You know what I mean? I've trained with Khabib before. You know what I mean? What does that mean? It means nothing. You know what I mean? And he's using another man's work to gain confidence off his work. But you haven't put that kind of work in, you know.
Has your opinions about Khabib changed at all throughout this?
Nah.
With him helping Bilal and helping Islam, who wants the belt that you've got right there as well?
No. I think it's still one of the best fighters to do it, you know. And, that's it.
Right here. In the lead up to this, you know, Bilal's used phrases like he's going to 50-42 you. He's predicting like these dominant decision wins. When you
like if it was me, yeah, I'm not gonna go like mad deluded and shit and just talk random shit. But like I'm gonna fucking knock this guy out and like cut him up and like you want violence in it. Like, if I could like dream in this scenario in my brain, I'll dream violence. I wouldn't dream fucking got a decision. You know what I mean? There's just a weird like thoughts that's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you also called him the least intimidating person in the entire UFC.
And he is. You know what I mean? Like he is. Like there's zero. Like let's say like we're in the street and I saw Bilal Muhammad, I wouldn't be afraid of him one bit. You know what I mean? And that's how I look at it. Like he's not intimidating one bit. You know what I mean? And that's it.
What happened with this run-in with you and him near an elevator or in an elevator?
That I was going to floor 3. Opened. He was like standing right there in front, and I think he thought in his head I wouldn't have came to the lift. I walked straight into the lift and said, press number 3, and that was it. Came out. Then it's weird because in the lift it was mad quiet, and then after the lift opened, everyone's outside. He's like, pussy, blah blah blah. I was like, bro, why did you say all this in the lift when it's just in the lift? You know what I mean? But I don't know.
Well, he also said he was sizing your brother up in case he hopped up.
Oh god, that's funny.
One final one for me, unrelated to this fight. I don't know if you saw, but on November 1st, they're going to introduce these new rule changes they approved with 12-6 elbows will be allowed, and they've redefined what a grounded opponent is. So I'm curious, what do you make of these new rules that...
I think it's good. If you can do this everywhere else, why not just add that one in as well? So yeah, I think it'd be good to start training that and adding that to my toolbox. I love elbowing anyway, so that'd be lovely little tool to add.
Leon, down here. After your win over Kobe, you said you set your sights on becoming the greatest welterweight of all time, obviously surpassing GSP's 9 title defenses. The way the division's lined up, there's contenders like Shavkat Rakhmonov, there's Gary, there's Jack Della Maddalena, and stylistically, you could argue they're better than the fighters that GSP watched in this prime.
Definitely.
So does this kind of make Bilal somewhat of like a unwarrantable, unnecessary pit stop in the journey to becoming the best welterweight?
No, I feel like all these fights are important. You know what I mean? Like Bilal will count just as much as me beating Shavkat, maybe in the end. You know what I mean? Because when it's all said and done, when I'm looking back, I'm on like a 10 fight defense streak. He's even part of 10. You know what I mean? So you have to take him serious, and I am. I did in camp, and yeah.
And do you think he's made any improvements since the first time you fought? Obviously, it was like nearly 3.5 years ago.
I believe so. I believe a little bit of improvement, but I feel like skill for skill and just the way his habits are, it's still the same habits. He still made the same mistakes I did when we first fought, and I feel like my fights that I've had have prepared me better than what he's had. You know, and that's it.
And I don't know if you said you've seen him say some crazy stuff. He also said that he might deliberately lose the first round to lure you into a false sense of security. What's your thoughts on that?
Bilal, it's Bilal, isn't it? Bilal, being Bilal, I guess. So he's gonna come out, lose the first round, and then what?
Torture you, apparently.
After the first round, after he lost the first round. Okay.
Yeah, just there, mate. Just going back to what his coach said about him looking like Canelo on the pads. When you're looking at him striking, does anyone pop to mind in terms of he doesn't look like Canelo, but he looks like someone else on the pads?
He's a shitboxer. I don't know who a shitboxer is.
Tommy Fury.
No, Tommy's a good lad. I don't know.
Jake Paul.
No, I think Jake Paul knocks him out in a boxing match, just pure boxing. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Was there any sympathy for Bilal? Obviously, he was in a similar position to you, where he's on this long winning streak and he's kind of knocking on the door for the title shot and he couldn't get it. Was there any sympathy?
No, not really. I got no sympathy. Alright. The game is a game, man. No one has sympathy for me when I'm going for my shit. You know what I mean? So no, not really.
And talking about that trick shot the other day, it kind of went everywhere. You kick on the basketball. But how did that come about?
Just gone for a morning jog and the ball came towards me, kicked it and went in. It's a normal day. That's a normal somewhat. What are you trying to?
I was about to say.
It's a normal.
It kind of has you remember the Ronaldinho advert? Was it for Nike back in the early 2000s where he hit the crossbar? Was it real? Was it?
From my one was right. I don't know about Ronaldinho.
If you had missed, then you'd have essentially just kicked that geezer's ball like a mile
Exactly,
away.
and carried on jogging, you know what I mean? So, it is what it is.
Leon, I'm just wondering, being from Birmingham yourself, in the main event, I know you've been...
From Birmingham yourself.
You visited Villa Park earlier on. This is the summer now. There would be no better time to do it at Villa Park. I know Damon doesn't necessarily like doing it outdoors in the UK.
Yeah.
Do you think it will ever come to Birmingham? If so, when?
Yeah, 100%. I keep defending my belt, and obviously I am the guy, so why not? You know what I mean? Like Villa Park would be perfect to have that in the summer. You know what I mean? I think UK deserves a stadium show. We haven't had one yet, so why not? You know.
On the Schmo, Bilal said, and I quote him, "I don't think they're fans of Leon, they're just fans of having a British champion. I don't think they're really Leon fans," when talking about the English fans.
Billa also said that the UK fans gonna support him more than me. You know what I mean? So I think he's just like I said, talking and just trying to convince himself. I don't know why he was trying to tell himself to make himself sound better than what he is. You know.
Leon, you were given custom shorts by the UFC right here. You were given custom shorts by the UFC. When did the UFC come to you with that, and did you have any part in the design?
In training camp, Hunter Campbell messaged me and obviously sending me ideas, and I kind of sent him like the Jamaican football jersey, the new one, and said I'll try and make it similar to that one. And yeah, that's what they did.
And 3.5 years ago or so, you were removed from the rankings for inactivity. Now fast forward, you're the UFC welterweight champion. You're the number 4 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Talk to me about how crazy these last 3.5-4 years have been.
It's been crazy. A crazy journey, you know. And like I said at the time, like I was the only one that believed in this dream. You know, I was the only one that, like, even the media was going against me and everyone's going against me, and I'm the only one that stayed solid and believed in my dream. And now here I am living it, you know, and everyone else now jumping on board. You know what I mean? So just make, for me anyway, that journey that I've went on, I probably wouldn't change it for the world. I feel like it made me a better martial artist, physically and mentally, and I think that's the reason why I can come to Fight Week happy. I can come to Fight Week myself, because that's who I've been this whole time. You know, I'm happy. You know what I mean? There's no pressure. I don't have to like keep up a character or anything. Just be myself and yeah, just keep dominating.
And my final question: your last 3 fights have been against wrestling-based fighters in Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington. Where do you see Bilal maybe having a different kind of style to them that he could pose a threat?
I don't think it'd be different. It'd be similar, because the Colby's boxing and wrestling. Kamaru is boxing and wrestling. Really, the kick, but not really. The more boxing and wrestling. Bilal, same boxing and wrestling. The kicks, but not really. The attacks, as far as wrestling goes, similar. You know what I mean? So I just feel like my path to this rematch is better prepared me for the rematch more than his path to the rematch. You know what I mean? He fought Burns, I was injured. Who else? Luke. Who else? Wonder Boy, that's 60 years old. So Damon Meyer, so 60 years old. So all the people that he's fought, Luke is, I think everyone knows, kind of over the hill now. He had a great career, but he find Nick Diaz next. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel my path was better. Find the pound number 1 guy at the time, Kamaru Usman. Not just the fight, just the camps is what make you better. You know what I mean? And to have these back-to-back camps has improved my game overall. You know.
Leon back here. In order to become champion, you have to overcome what we would call a burn moment, which is just a really tough time in your life. So what do you think is your biggest burn moment that you have to overcome to become the welterweight champion of the world?
In my career?
Just career, life, just in general.
I go career. I don't know, probably the second Usman fight. Going to Salt Lake City, our attitude, use all the training attitude, winning the first round, body going like getting effective from that front attitude, and then staying focused until the last round and getting a finish over the pound number 1 guy, and then coming back and then beat him again in a rematch. I think just that, I'll probably say.
Leon, can I just ask about, obviously you've been in Bilal's position. How does preparation for a fight change if, you know, being the challenger and obviously now being the champion?
I don't think it's changed much. You know what I mean? I've been headlining before, I was champion anyway. As far as the work goes in, still 5-5s. I don't think it changes much. I don't believe. You know what I mean? I believe that if it's already headlining anyway, now just fight for a belt. There's more pressure, obviously. I don't know whether it's for him or for me, but it's probably more on the line, more pay-per-view points, more money, more all that. There's more on the line. But as far as camp goes and the work goes, I think it's all similar. You know.
And obviously, you know, since the first fight you've gone on to do great things. Was that no contest obviously been hanging over you like Saturday night, obviously, as well as, you know, your third title defence? Would it be an opportunity to kind of close that chapter and kind of silence Bilal once and for all?
Yeah, 100%. Even when I messed up my streak, you know what I mean? Crying. But yeah, I feel like going out there Saturday night, finally shutting them up and just moving on my career, just add to it, you know.
Leon at the back here, mate. Recently we spoke to MVP, and obviously I know that his last fight it didn't go as planned, but he said that a fight between you and him would be like massive for British MMA, especially as an inspiration from where you both come from.
Yeah.
Would you entertain that at any point, and what would you need to do to get that fight with you?
Win first, no. Like, probably would have. You know, like let's say he did go out there, battered Ian, probably one more, beat Shavkat, then that would be massive in the UK. You know what I mean? But I feel like he's left it too late to make the move over to UFC. I wish he did it a bit earlier. You know, and does it make it to title contender? I don't know. There's a lot of tough guys in the division. Ian's not a great wrestler, you know what I mean? Ian out-grapple you. Ian ain't strong. Ian out-grapple you, you know what I mean? So I feel like, I don't know.
If he was giving it just to make the fight massive in the UK, like almost when people say some people don't deserve it, would you be happy with it? Or
if I give him a title shot now?
No, not now on a loss obviously, but like if it was to get a good couple of...
Yeah, let's say it don't go out there and like I said, beat these guys, that's like meant to be next, then honestly it's one of the biggest fight in UK history, you know what I mean? So, but you have to put the work in to get there. You can't just say, if I was fucking fighting Mike Tyson, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? You have to actually go out there, win the fights, get yourself in a position where you can fight for the title, then this fight will be massive, you know what I mean?
Leon down here. I don't know if you saw Bilal when you went on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. You opened up as to... Oh, fuck, that doesn't count. Sorry about that. No, leave it.
Jesus, someone else, go on.
No, you basically explained the reason why he was so emotional, because he'd obviously previously had eye surgery in there, and he said that you couldn't see. What's your reaction to that? Because we've not actually had the chance to speak to you about that.
I haven't heard that before. What?
No, so he said that he was so emotional about it because he...
Well, crying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he previously injured his eye and he thought that he was going to be blind.
Yeah, but if you get punched in your face, let's say... I don't know.
Fair enough. And to off topic, obviously your brother's got a big fight coming up in September 14th.
Yeah.
How do you think that rematch goes?
I think my brother finishes him. I think his improvements in the gym is looking solid, you know, so... I'm excited for him to go out there and achieve his dream, become the world champion, you know what I mean? And he got long left, it's September 21st, I think?
I think it's 14th.
Yeah, one of them. And he's looking great, you know, so I'm excited for his career and what he's achieving.
And as a Villa fan, how buzzing were you when Ollie Watkins scored that winner against the Netherlands?
I was very happy. I'm more like a UK fan, to be honest. I enjoy like international football. So I was watching, like, this camp was great because obviously the thing football was on, and I was having people like that just representing Villa and Birmingham, and yeah, it was good.
Cheers.
Are you going to be celebrating your win despite the time difference on Saturday or Sunday morning?
I don't know, I got like a house, I'll probably like a little breakfast brunch. I don't know. I wish it was like a bit more early, but probably like a little breakfast brunch and get all the boys around, get some pancakes and go from there.
Thank you.
Islam Makhachev wants your belt. It's not a secret. If you will win on the Saturday night, is there any single chance?
When I win on Saturday night, what?
Oh, okay, so is there any single chance that you will fight Islam in October in Abu Dhabi?
I don't think it'll be October. The UFC has spoken to me about nothing or even hint that way, you know what I mean?
But this year?
This year, I don't think it happened this year, but I think eventually if we both keep going out there and winning and dominating our divisions, then that's a possibility, you know. For me, my own path, I would like to also get a second belt and moving up to middleweight. I think I'm big enough to do that, and that's one of my dreams, to go out there and do that. Like I said, I want to top GSB. I won the middleweight strap. So I feel like I have to do all these things that he's done for me to consider myself the best welterweight of all time, you know. So yeah, if Islam happens eventually, then it is what it is. But like I said, from my own path, my own journey, I'd like to get me a second belt.
So there we go. That sets the table nicely for the main event at UFC 304 here in Manchester. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad, the rematch for the undisputed UFC welterweight championship of the world. But this is a historic night for a number of reasons. Number one, it's the first time that the Co-op Live has held a sporting event. It's the first time, obviously, the UFC have been in that building for a sporting event. It's also historic for UK mixed martial arts. It's the first time two British UFC champions have fought on the same card. When Tom Aspinall and Leon became champion, that was the first time we've had two concurrent British UFC world champions, and they're going to showcase this event. They're going to be the two top fights on this card. And while there's that simmering rivalry, that tension between Leon and Belal, it's a very different vibe between Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades, who fought at the O2 in a fight that lasted 15 seconds. Curtis was landing some big punches. Tom went to land a heavy leg kick and basically completely shattered his knee. He was carrying an injury in, and that kick basically completely finished it off. Down he goes, absolute agony. The main event was it just sucks all the air out of the O2 arena that night. We'd had some big performances leading in, some emotional stuff in the cage from Paddy Pimblett that night, and the main event was expected to really bring the curtain down on the night in a spectacular way, and unfortunately it was over almost before it had started. It was disappointing for Tom, obviously. That injury put him on the shelf for a year and denied him a year's worth of growth as an active fighter. For Curtis, the opportunity to potentially beat a rising star in the heavyweight division and potentially earn himself a shot at the title also went by the wayside. So both men ended the night disappointed, and in the hotel bar afterwards they shared a pint and sort of consoled each other, which was a nice moment between two genuine pros and two lovely blokes as well, two really nice guys of the sport, and which is something that we got to see at Media Day. Tom Aspinall, clearly very, very confident in his abilities. He is now not somebody on the come up. He is there. He's at the top, and you know, he's in that position now where he genuinely feels he is the best heavyweight in the world. And it's really down to other people, because he's carrying championship gold around his waist now. It's down to everybody else to prove that statement wrong. And Curtis, obviously, remarkably, after such a long career in the UFC, I was actually there for his UFC debut in Zagreb, Croatia back in 2016, where he fought a young upstart by the name of Francis Ngannou, who I think had one UFC fight at that point. Francis won that fight, stopped him on the stool, I think at the end of the second round or the first round, in Zagreb, Croatia. But that was, I think, Curtis Blades' first career loss. But even in that fight, you could see that there was something there with him, and he's gone on and had a remarkable career since then. He's not the biggest salesman. He hasn't got the biggest, most outgoing personality in terms of what you're used to seeing from him. And maybe that's held him back a little bit. He's also has a strong wrestling-based approach, which sometimes doesn't always help for your marketability. But what he does incredibly well, and he's one of the best in the world at it. And he's now ready to take his shot at the gold. But let's listen to both guys. It was two really interesting Media Day scrums from the pair of them. We'll start with Curtis Blades first. Curtis actually, and you won't get this on the audio because by the time I was setting my camera up, Curtis basically just stood up at the start and said, "Do you guys read each other's stories?" We're like, "Yeah." So he's like, "So you realise that you need to not just keep asking me the same old questions that everybody asks me at these things, because you're just going to get terrible answers because it's boring." And we had a bit of a chuckle with him about that. And I think he'd probably done back-to-back interviews with broadcast partners who probably fired the same questions at him at that point. So that immediately changed the complete tone of his media day session. And for my money, it was the most enjoyable one to listen to. I thought we got more personality and more fun from Curtis in that interview than probably any other interview I've seen with him, certainly in terms of the official UFC appearances that he's made, like media days and whatnot. So, and yeah, we had a little bit of fun during that chat, and it was a good one. So check it out here. Here's Curtis Blades, possibly as you've never heard him before.
That's eliminated like 90% of the
questions. Well, let's talk about it. So when you hear the same question over and over again, does it eventually just like make the subject play on your mind, or does it just turn off and it's like, okay?
It just means you guys want to get the driest answers I've got. Like, oh, how was the flight? Good. How you adjusting to the time change? Well, like, you gotta give me something in order to give you guys something.
If let's say Tom wins on Saturday or you win, do you think this should count as a legitimate title defense for him, or should it count as an undisputed title win for you when they inevitably promote it to the undisputed title?
So basically you're asking if this is the real belt.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the real belt in my mind. In my mind, Jones versus Stipe is just their retirement fight. Not to be rude, but we know they're both 1 or 2 fights away, so more than likely this is their get the bag and get out fight, which is fine. That's how I view it.
Have you been surprised like how animated Dana's been about John Jones recently? It's like anytime his name even comes up, it's like he's the best ever and stuff like that. Are you surprised that he's like so intense to push that?
No, this is Dana White, one of the greatest promoters in the world. He knows how to add hype and market. That's what he does. That's his job. One of the best at it. I'm not shocked. I expect it actually.
Do you think he's doing it because he knows that John Jones is about to fight, so he's just sort of laying the table for that?
Yeah, that's how it feels. Like he wants to squeeze that juice, get the last drop, and he wants everyone to watch it. So that's how I view it.
Do you agree with him that John Jones is currently the pound-for-pound best, or do you think you have to be active to be in that discussion?
You got to be active. This isn't like a skill-based thing. This is an activity thing. He hasn't been that active. You can't be the best if you're not being active.
And how are you adjusting to the time change over here?
Well, you're cheeky.
Curtis, right? Sticking with the John Jones thing though, but John, you know, he goes on these Twitter Q&As with fans a lot. He kind of said, you know, in as short as that first fight was, he thought you were winning that fight. Did you think you were actually winning that fight, or was it just not quick enough or long enough to kind of?
I do feel like I was beginning to find my range. I'm sure everyone in here has watched that over. It's not hard to watch it 40 times in a row. I have. I do feel like I was starting to find my range. So, yes.
And how much of, obviously Tom is a high-level black belt, but he's, you know, everyone says hyper-athletic, hits strong and fast. You've fought in, you know, Derek Lewis and Ngannou, Sergey Pavlovich, the 3 heaviest hitters in this division. You trained for Jailton Almeida, who everyone said had the best grappling in this division. Did you have to do anything specifically for Tom that maybe you didn't have to do for those other guys?
Working with smaller guys a little bit, just to get used to more hand speed. That's the only adjustment.
And I think I saw maybe you, it might have been, I can't remember what video it was, but at one point you weren't taking MMA 100% seriously, I think. And I guess what switched in your mind to, now that you are taking MMA 100% seriously?
When I moved to Denver, prior to that, I was basically doing my workouts at a UFC gym.
Sure.
Didn't have anyone to spar with. I was sparring with featherweights. I was BSing. I got in the UFC just off my athleticism and being able to wrestle everyone. And I knew after I debuted against Ngannou, like where I was not the place to be in order to grow. Moved out to Denver, joined elevation. We're now forged, and the best decision I made in my career.
Do you think heavyweights get credit for being high-level martial artists? Because most people just kind of look at you and you can, hit them once and they go to sleep.
I think majority of fans, they just watch the highlights. They don't watch how did he set that up? Did he use a jab? Did he switch his stance? Did he use the inside leg kick to distract him? They just see hand on the face, the guy falls down. I think everyone, like, the way they judge heavyweights, we should be judged on a different scale, because the exchanges that smaller guys have, like I was at the Denver fights, my buddy Drew Dober was fighting that Brazilian guy. They were banging. You can't do that at heavyweight. Those exchanges, we should be graded on a sliding scale. We don't get to, you can make a mistake at bantam, feather, light, even welterweight. After welterweight, mistakes become a lot more costly, but especially heavyweight. It could be a jab. I've seen heavyweights get dropped with jabs. It's not happening at bantamweight.
Right.
So I think we should just be judged on a different scale.
And unrelated to this fight, I don't know if you saw, but on November 1st, they're going to roll out some of these new rules that they approved changing. So 12 6 elbows, and they've redefined what a grounded opponent is. I'm curious, so you've clearly heard these, and what do you make of these new rule changes?
They feel very grappler friendly, so I'm surprised, because I know a lot of people don't like grapplers, so I'm a little shocked, but I'm happy, because the elbows especially, that's going to open up a lot of stuff. And I kind of wish it was already active.
Right. And John said that he might try to appeal that lone loss to Matt Hamill.
He should. I always view he's undefeated.
Sure.
Does anyone in here not agree? Oh, we got a contrarian?
Only from a technicality standpoint, because the rules were the rules when he took the fight.
You're right. You're right.
So you can't.
We all have to.
You can't re-referee a fight after it's happened.
You're right. You're right.
But I thought it was Mazzagatti who made the mistake in not saying.
Oh, we're getting the banter.
No, that's what I thought.
You appeal the referee then, don't you? You appeal the referee's decision rather than the rule set.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Wasn't the vibe he told Matt Hamill to fight back, and Matt Hamill couldn't hear it?
This is nice and spicy.
There's one final one for me. Bilal Muhammad was in here, and he said, Chicago doesn't really have good pro sports right now, and you guys can bring back the belts to Chicago. So how special is it to have him also chasing for the UFC title on this card?
It's amazing to have two guys from the same area. We both grew up on the south side. It's amazing. I didn't really bump into him. That's how you know when I was home in Chicago, I wasn't really doing what I was supposed to be doing. And had I been, probably would have walked into Bilal years ago. But I think it's great. We got 2 opportunities to bring home a belt. I hope we go 2-0. It'll be great for the city. And in terms of Chicago sports, I believe in the Bears. This is the most excited don't you do that. This is the most excited I've been as the Bears fan in my adult life.
You think they're better than the Lions?
No, not better. I want growth. We don't got to win the division. I want
You're not.
growth.
Curtis, what have you made of Tom's performances since that first fight in 2022? He's shown devastating knockout power on the feet, and I think a lot of people expect your game plan to be take him down and expose him with those vicious elbows like you usually do. But would part of you like to stand and bang and try and surprise people?
I'm going to be organic. I don't enter fights with a game plan like, I have to do this, I need to do. That's how you walk into traps. Because it seems a lot more premeditated. I don't have plans like that. I just want to be in position. Well, if the takedown is there, I go for it. If it's not there, I'm not going to force it. And I do believe I can beat him on the feet. I don't believe I have to get a takedown. It would be nice, because that's my world. But I can hang out on the feet too.
Are you used to being in enemy territory now as well? You did it once before, 2 years ago. Does it feel business as usual now?
I've done it a bunch of times. I come from a wrestling background. I love going to other high schools, other colleges, and when their fans are booing you, I love that. I feed off that. In the UFC, it's a lot different. I can't hear you guys. You know that, right? I can't hear a thing anyone's saying. I've been to Australia, fought Mark Hunt. Didn't hear anything the fans were saying. We were prepared to go to Brazil. no offense, I've heard the Brazilian fans are a little scarier than the British fans. So if I wasn't scared of the Brazilians, I'm not scared of Brits.
And there's a lot of stories away from this fight in the heavyweight division as well, like guys have mentioned, John Jones there, looming over everything. But we also have Alex Pereira's inevitable move to the heavyweight division as well.
Bad idea.
Bad idea for him.
Him, I'll give you my premeditated plan. I'm going to shoot immediately. Why would I give him any chance to knock me out on the feet when I know I can take him down at will? And he has to know that. I think he's looking for a specific heavyweight, not any heavyweight. He has matchups against. I could see him beating guys like Tai. We watched him sparring Tai Tuivasa. Maybe some other guys in like the bottom of the top 15, but you give him a top 5 guy with some real weight, he's not winning.
You know, you mentioned shooting straight away. Would part of it be in your mind the fact that he has a devastating flying knee when we kind of look at the Masvidal
I'm gonna eat that
situation?
I ate one from Alistair. You think he throws harder knees than Alistair? I know he got the aura going on right now, but I ate a knee from 265-pound Alistair. I'm good with eating knees.
So would you welcome
in
Alex Pereira to the heavyweight division if you win on Saturday night?
I know this is what everyone wants to hear. Yes, I would fuck up Alex Pereira. It's not because he's not good. I'm heavier than he is. Just a heavyweight, gravity, weight matters. It's not a skill based. That's just how it is.
Curtis here to your left. Obviously, second time in the UK. What's the reception been like?
It's been cool. We walked around a little bit, ran into fans. They've all been respectful, very nice. Even the ones who are like, "Oh, I'm rooting for Asmal, but you're a good guy." That's cool with me. That's all I want. I just want respect. You don't have to root for me. You don't have to like me. Respect.
And what do you make of the UK fans in comparison to other fans? You mentioned it there. You fought
Australia.
in Perth, I believe.
Yeah.
And you obviously fought Giles in Brazil recently. So
No, I wanted to. Originally, we were going to go to Brazil. But I got injured.
of course.
Yeah, it was Miami, but I was prepared for that, and I was expecting that to be the worst ever. But yeah, British fans, you guys, you're cool. I mean, obviously, I know you're gonna, oh fuck you, da da da. I can't hear you guys. I dream about it. But yeah, I can't hear you guys, but I expect it. No hard feelings. It is what it is. It would be the same thing if he was in Chicago, and I don't want my fans to be disrespectful, and I'm sure that's not what he wants, but fans are fans, they're drinking, it's cool.
And final one, are you and Tom going to share another beer after this fight?
I'd like to. Like I said, respectable guy, got no beef, got no animosity. These are my favorite type of matchups where it's all skill. We'll see who's best.
Okay, just to piggyback on that question, talk to me about your memories from that beer shared with Asmal, because I felt like even at the end of that fight, it's unfinished business. So when you're sitting there sipping a beer with him, is that what it felt like to you?
Yeah, I knew he was. How old is he now? He's a few years younger than me. I knew he'd be back. I knew he would get healthy. You guys have great health care out here. It's free. That's dope. Like I said, I knew he'd be back, and I knew he'd most likely have to scrap again. I didn't think it'd be over the belt, but I knew he would have to scrap again.
Tom's created something of a heavyweight super camp down his ways. When you're looking at that, you spoke earlier about the people you've had to train with in the past. Are you quite envious of the team he's built, and are you hoping to build something like that over your side of the pond?
It would be nice. I win this, I get the belt, I have the resources. No, you're good. I have the resources to hire guys, bring them out. But right now, the guys I'm working with, I think they're the best in the world. They've helped me get here, so I'm good with those guys.
Curtis, straight in front of you here, sir.
I'm sorry.
It's been a long road to get to this title fight from that debut in Croatia back in 2016. You've been very close to earning yourself a title shot, and it just hasn't quite worked out for you in those individual fights. Were there any moments over the course of that time where you sort of sat down and wondered whether it ever would happen for you?
After I beat Alistair, I was number 2, he was number 5. I beat him, or maybe it was reversed. Then I bumped up. But either way, I thought after I beat Hunt in February, I beat Alistair in June, and then they gave the interim title versus DC. They gave it to Derek Lewis. They didn't do it based on skill because he had just fought with Ngannou. I don't know if you guys watched that fight. Not much of a fight. He got that fight because he gives funny interviews, and I don't. That's what it is. If this was skill based, if this was meritocracy based, I had a better year leading up to that. Who should get the title fight? Should have been me. That was when I was probably the most like, what do I got to do? But then that's why I took the rematch with Ngannou. I thought, okay, I got to get in there. I gotta beat Ngannou. Didn't work, but that's what I was hoping to do. I knew I had to make a splash, and I know also that I lose opportunities because I don't get online and say funny, weird stuff. I don't post craziness. I don't give wild post-fight interviews. I understand that. I understand it puts me at a disadvantage, but it's not who I am. I didn't grow up like that. I came from wrestling. We don't talk smack. You shake the guy's hand before the match and after the match. Just a respectful guy, and I'm all right with the decisions I made. Still worked out. Still got the title fight. Just took a little longer than expected.
And if it all goes your way on Saturday night and they wrap that belt around your waist, given the journey that you've been on and the hard yards you've had to put in to get this shot, what would it mean to you to be crowned the world champion in the UFC after all this time?
It means everything. It means all the little decisions I made along the way, they'll be validated.
Brilliant, thanks a lot.
Curtis back here. 2 years ago, we were actually there at the O2 when you fought Tom Aspinall, and the crowd was absolutely crazy. But is there a part of you that would have wanted this rematch in the United States, or does location not affect you?
This could be on the moon. Fans, venue does not matter. I don't know why y'all think it does, and you think the face-off matters. Like, ooh, he won the face. None of that matters. I think I've probably lost every face-off. I don't care where we fight because fans, they can't help him, can't hurt me. So the venue does not matter to me at all.
Hi Curtis, Kaz from Time Sports Network. I noticed that you was meant to do a podcast with Bisping and then your coaches said no. I was just wondering why. Was it because you was worried about him breaking down your game plan too much?
Well, we know Bisping's homies, and I don't want to put him in a position where he has to feel like he has to be a certain person around me that he wouldn't be around Aspinall. It was just, I know it's weird, so it was just easier that way. I would love to do a podcast with him after if he still wants me, but yeah, that was our decision, yeah.
One thing I like seeing is how much you're representing people with stutters, and I was wondering, has many people reached out to you, like, to ask for advice and stuff?
Yeah, I've been getting those for years now, and I never really saw myself as like a spokesman for speech impediments, but it was my dad. He has a speech impediment also. I got it from him. It's hereditary. It's not because CTE. Let's get that out there. I know I get asked that the most. Yeah, I'm happy. My daughter has a speech impediment, and it scares me. I know children are mean. I know how it was for me growing up in Chicago. It can be real mean. It's one of the reasons I went to all-boys school, because I realized when you remove the female, no offense, when you remove the females out of the room, the guys are a lot nicer. That's one of the reasons I went to all-guys high school. Don't regret that. But yeah, I hope other people, young people, old people, anyone with a speech impediment, or anyone who has a connection with anyone with a speech impediment, hope you can look at me and see that you can do whatever you want to do. Like if you want to be a police officer, my dad's a cop, or just retired. If you want to be whatever, teacher, astronaut, you can, just a speech impediment. It just, don't allow people in there, like, I used to allow people, when they would ask me my name, I go, and they look at me like, are you special? Do you not know how to pronounce your own name? They used to like make me feel some type of way. Now I judge them. Like, are you that ignorant that you think me as a grown man, I don't know how to pronounce my own name? I have a speech impediment. I've gotten over it, but it took me a while until like 27, 28. Doing these interviews helped also. I was a kid in high school, I wouldn't raise my hand if I knew the answer. And I was embarrassed, like I didn't want people to laugh and all that stuff. I just want those people that also have a speech impediment to know that if people are laughing at you, it doesn't mean anything about you. It means a whole lot more about them and their character.
That's amazing. It's great representation, so thank you. My last question was, you posted on your Instagram about our crisp flavors. I was wondering, did you try any? Because you said that it was nasty, but cheese and onions banging actually.
I was scared to eat it.
You were scared?
I was scared to try it. But I'm real picky. I'm super basic. Like back home, hamburgers, hot dogs, Alfredo. I'm picky. I eat like an 8-year-old. So don't use me as your scale for all Americans. Like I know my brother, he's gonna eat everything when he gets here. He'll be here Friday. He's gonna eat everything. He always does. We're different. So
thank you. Good luck this Saturday.
You guys should be proud of yourself. That was the best. Good questions. Everybody.
So there you go, Curtis Blaydes in rare good form, it has to be said, and having a bit of fun with the press there at Media Day ahead of what we have to say is the biggest fight of his UFC career. This is after all this time being right there on the cusp of a title shot, and I mentioned it to him in that Media Day, like he's been so close so many times and he's had losses at just the wrong time in order, otherwise he would have got himself title fights, and things haven't quite worked out for him, and he's finally got his shot at championship gold this weekend, and he intends to take full advantage of that against a man who he's at least shared the cage with for 15 seconds. But we'll see how this one goes. I don't imagine it's going to be anything like what we saw first time round. It should be an interesting clash of styles. Curtis very heavy-handed, but he's also a very, very accomplished wrestler. So I would imagine he's going to look to lean on that very heavily in this one. And of course, he had some very interesting words there for a certain Alex Pereira, and he's almost daring him to come up to the heavyweight division to face him. So that was one of the big takeaways from that session as well. But Curtis Blaydes in good form. Also in good form, Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall super confident in what he thinks he can do on Saturday night, but he also very respectful of Curtis Blaydes, respectful of his standing, his experience, and when asked, is this the toughest UFC contender you've faced? He's like, absolutely, this is the number one guy. So he thinks that this is the the two best active heavyweights in the UFC going head to head right now. So it's going to be a fun one on Saturday night when they go head to head in that co-main event. And Aspinall is ready to put on a show once again. Here's what Tom had to say during Media Day.
Tom, obviously this is sort of the card dreams are made of, right? The homecoming, new arena, championship belt on the table in front of you. I feel like it's something that you will enjoy, but are you making sure this week that you need to enjoy it, and are you enjoying this week so far?
I'm enjoying myself so far, yeah. This is, as you just said, like, when I got into this sport, which is quite a long time ago now, this is what I dreamed of, is being, weeks like this week, nights like Saturday night. This is, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. By the way, who was sat here last?
Patty.
Smells a bit strange up here. Must be you guys. But yeah, this is, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it very much.
If, as some people are predicting, you defend the belt on Saturday and then eventually they promote it to being the undisputed belt after John walks away, do you think this one should count as a title defense?
I don't really know. I mean, I'm not really focused on that right now, to be honest. I'm just focused on, like, all that stuff is kind of like out of my control. Like, all this political stuff with John and Stipe and the interim stuff and the defence stuff, like, I'm not really too bothered about it. I just focused on beating Curtis Blaydes and that's it.
As a percentage, how much harder are your hands after soaking them into gasoline?
Mate, they're like absolute stones. You know what? I've seen them new gloves. They sent me some of them new gloves, and they're a lot smaller than the other ones. There's a lot less padding on them, and I just thought, you know what? I need to harden the knuckles up, and that's the only way that I know how. So I've been doing the old gypsy method, of dipping them in petrol, and it's they're like rocks, mate. Yeah.
Is any part of you concerned about the obvious health risks of putting your hands in petrol?
Which are what?
I don't know, I just feel like having a flammable liquid seep into your hands is probably going to cost you at some point.
They're doing alright so far, mate. We'll find out on Saturday night, won't we? We'll find out. If I get a disgusting knockout on Saturday, you better believe that half of the roster are going to be dipping the knuckles in petrol. So it'll be all good.
I know, obviously, like, life doesn't really go past this weekend, but should you get the win this weekend, does it make sense for you to be in November, in Madison Square Garden in November watching those two fight?
I mean, that'll be a lot of fun. I love New York, love MSG, so that would be great.
Tom, right here. Before Curtis's last fight, he said that a lot of fans and pundits kind of view him as the gatekeeper of heavyweight. Like,
Yeah.
you can't be a contender until you face Curtis. But you yourself said that you take Curtis Blades very, very seriously. So do you view Curtis Blades as a gatekeeper, or is that just a moniker?
No, I don't at all. I think the guy's been in the top 10 for a long time. He's done basically everything that there is to do apart from win a title. Curtis Blades has done so. I respect him a lot. I respect what he's all about. I respect him as a person, as an athlete, everything. And I've taken him.
You are taking.
I have taken him very seriously in the build-up, and I am taking this fight very, very seriously. I'm not looking past him at all.
Obviously, a lot of people point to your athleticism and speed as kind of what sets you apart in the heavyweight division. Do you think Curtis is that heavyweight that can match you in the athletic department?
No.
He also, Curtis obviously, he comes with a very high level grappling background. You yourself, you're black belt, you have a tattoo on your wrist. Normally when we see two grapplers in there, it can turn into a striking battle. So how do you rank Curtis Blades striking?
Well, I think I'm first of all a grappler, but I've also been doing MMA a long time. The same as Curtis is first of all a wrestler, but he's been doing MMA a long time. So even though we've got like both decent grappling backgrounds, this is an MMA fight. So I rate Curtis's. I don't know. For me, I think I look at it a little bit different to a lot of other people. It's like I don't look at it like individual stuff. I don't look at it like, oh, this guy's a good wrestler and this guy's a good striker or whatever. Like, this is MMA. I look at MMA as a sport of its own. I don't look at it as 5, 6, 7 different disciplines. Like, for me, it's one discipline. It's the discipline of MMA, and you need to be sufficient standing, grappling, on the ground, on the fence, on your back, on top, doing everything. Like, you need to be good at everything in this sport. So yeah, we're both decent at grappling, but we're both, top of the top level MMA fighters, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, I asked Curtis this too, and I'm curious your thoughts. Do you think heavyweights get credit for being well-rounded martial artists, or because to Curtis said, like, you can't really go in there and trade like lightweights because when you touch them on the chin, you kind of go to sleep. Do you think heavyweights get credit as being well-rounded martial artists?
I mean, probably not. Like, we're definitely getting better in terms of skill, but I think as far as guys who actually are good in all aspects of MMA, I think there's probably 7 or 8 of us who are like elite level at MMA. The other guys are more like guys who can knock you out, and that's really it. Do you know what I mean? And that's MMA's like heavyweight MMA's kind of got its own rules in that regard. At any other division, you need to be like fully skilled everywhere, whereas in the heavyweight division, it's just like there's still guys knocking around who they just need to hit you once, but they're not really great everywhere else.
When Curtis fought in Denver, he said he wasn't the biggest fan of fighting at home because you're kind of being pulled in multiple directions. How's it been for you, as the champion fighting at home?
Well, I've been pulled in multiple directions, but yeah, it's I mean, it's fine. Like, this is my fourth time fighting in the UK actually, and this time I'm not main event, so I'm sure Leon will be able to give you a more accurate response than I am. But I mean, there's definitely a lot of pressure. There's a lot more pressure fighting here than there is anywhere else. But I'm accustomed to the pressure at this point. Like, I'm friggin' #1 heavyweight in the world. If I can't deal with pressure now, then I'm probably doing the wrong thing with my life. So I'm alright with it.
And last one for me, I don't know if you saw, but on November 1st, they're going to rule out some of the rule changes that are going to allow 12-6 elbows, and they're going to redefine what a grounded opponent is in the octagon. I'm curious, did you hear about this and what you make of the rule changes?
I heard something about it before, but I weren't really paying attention to what someone was telling me, to be honest. So I think that's pretty good. So they're letting people What's the second one? Sorry?
So you need to have more than just your hands.
Yeah.
You can't you have to have your elbow, your shoulder, your knee. You can't just kind of posture up with your hand.
Yeah, well, I think that's a bit of a silly rule. Anyway, those two, in my opinion, they're good changes. Like they should change them over, and I also think they should allow knees to the head on the ground as well. Well, I guess that kind of is knees to the head on the ground, no?
I don't think if they're grounded.
No, I think they should allow that. Sure. Yeah.
John said he's going to try to appeal his previous loss to Matt Hamlin because the 12-6 is now allowed. Do you think it should be overturned to a win?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a silly rule. I don't know if you can do that like 10 years after the fact though, maybe, or however long ago it was. Maybe you can. I mean, we talked about John Jones, the guy has his own rules, so maybe you can.
Tom, you have the shortest average fight time in UFC history, 2 minutes 10. If you didn't already know that, now you do. Is that something that you want to keep going, you want to hold on to that mantle?
I mean, it's nice to have, but it's not something I've tried to have. Do you know what I mean? Like, I always go into a fight, honestly, on the contrary to what people think, I prepare for a hard 5 rounds every time. And I see, I always get the same thing from my opponents or my opponent's team. And it's like, oh, we're going to drag him into deep water. We're going to bring him to a place he's never been before. The reason I've never been to them places before is because no one's good enough to take me yet. And that's not me being cocky, that's the reality of it. So everybody comes in and says, yeah, we're going to drag him into deep water. We're going to take him to this miserable place, blah, blah. Like, brilliant, I'm prepared for it. Take me there, please, because I've never been there and I want to see how it goes myself. It's not, I'm not shying away from that at all. Like, if somebody can take me to the 3rd, 4th, 5th round in a competitive fight, fantastic.
Because you've been nowhere close to seeing those rounds, and Curtis's team, they've not tried to keep anything secret. They've said that their aim of the game is to try and dominate you on the ground and split you open with elbows. But they're underestimating your incredible jiu-jitsu, aren't they? Do you feel that that would feed into an aspect of your game that has rarely been seen?
I don't think they're underestimating me at all. I think that's just talk. And talk is talk and fighting's fighting, so we'll find out on Saturday.
Final one from me. Has it been surreal, when you look back where you were 10 years ago to now seeing that Atherton is featuring very prominently on the UFC Embedded Fight Week? Is that crazy to see, where you're at and where the town's at as well?
Yeah, we'd love to see it. We love to see it as Atherton boys, don't we?
Very nice.
No, it's really nice, yeah. It's really, really nice. And the people love it as well. Do you know what I mean? There's not a lot happens in that town, so to be able to, and that's not me, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's bad. If I can bring some positive light to that, that's fantastic.
Are you anticipating another mural, one that you're a bit happier with the arms?
Yeah, the arms are very small. I think my arms are quite decent, and then when I seen that, I was like, whoa. And I don't know why. Also, I'm still confused as to why I'm dressed up as a Roman. Like, I don't know why that as a gladiator or whatever it is. I have no idea why that is, but it's of course I'm honoured for having my face up in my hometown in that massive scale at school, but I don't know why as a gladiator. I still don't understand it.
Tom, down here to your left. How was the social media detox for you going into this fight, the first time you've done it?
Yeah, pretty good. Excuse me. Yeah, a lot better than. I mean, I still use my phone and stuff all the time, but I'm just not scrolling all day every day. I would just, to anybody who's going through any kind of, if they're feeling overwhelmed in their life, feel like they've got too much on or whatever, or they're feeling a bit anxious about stuff, first thing you should do, cut out social media. Try a month without it and see how you get on. Do what I did, delete the apps so you can't go back on it again. Because I was seriously addicted to scrolling. And yeah, my life is a lot better without reading hundreds of people's opinions of me every day. Do you know what I mean? It's like every time I go on there, I get tagged in stuff and I read the comments. And
that's a mistake.
Yeah, it's a mistake. It's a massive mistake, but it's an addiction like anything else. So the only way I was to tackle it really was to delete the app. And I've been back on here and there. Like, I had to get someone's number, so I had to re-download it and DM them and ask for the number, and before I know it, I'm scrolling again for another 10 minutes. So I got the number, deleted the app again. I had to do a social media post for a sponsor as well. I downloaded X again because I couldn't find my password, and I had to try passwords. And then anyway, before I know it, I'm scrolling again. So I had to delete it again, and yeah, I'm just in a lot better place mentally without it. Like I still post on there. I've got my social media guy Charlie who runs my YouTube and everything. Like he's posting everything's done through me, so it's all authentic. Do you know what I mean? It's not someone else physically posting, but it's coming from me. It's not like someone's full time doing it. But my life's a lot better without reading a load of people's opinions all the time. Honestly, I was at the spot where I was in a point where I didn't even really know my own opinion on stuff anymore because I'm reading too many other people's opinions. I don't know, we're getting a bit deep up here, but it was it was full on, and I'm better off without it. Yeah.
Yeah, led into my next question there, giving you a lot more clarity in this preparation for Curtis.
Yeah, your life and fight preparation coincides a lot in my experience anyway. Like if I'm not happy in my day-to-day life, I'm not performing too well in the gym. So I'm much happier without social media. I won't be going back on it after my fight either. So I might download it and have a look here and there, but I'll never have the app on my phone full time again. Never.
Fair enough. And last one from me. Where would you rank Curtis in the list of your opponents in terms of overall skill set?
Number one. This guy's the hardest fight in my career, easily.
Seriously.
Tom, I think a lot of people coming into this fight are cottoning on to what you guys are doing in the gym and building that heavyweight kind of super team. Are you fielding like more fighter requests to come down and get involved, and do you expect them more, with a win this Saturday?
It's really nothing to do with me, it's to do with my dad. But that's just something that's kind of happened like organically. We never set out and were like, right, we're going to get 20 heavyweights on the mat every day. I just kind of like needed big guys to train with. The big guys were kind of local, so we started training together. And then more guys started coming down, and we had guys that, we brought more guys in for sparring, and they liked it. And then before we know it, we have like 20 international guys, heavyweights on the mat every day. It's absolutely insane. And I've obviously brought guys over as well to help me train for this fight specifically. But my training situation absolutely couldn't be better, and I've leveled up massively since my last fight.
And looking back to the last fight with Curtis, after the fight you shared the beer, talking about some of your memories from that moment, did it feel like unfinished business even when you're sharing a pint with him?
Yeah, absolutely. Curtis is a good guy, man. Curtis is a nice guy from my knowledge of him. And I'm sure he thinks similar to me. I don't know, I can't speak for him, but I'm definitely going to try and knock his head off his shoulders this Saturday. I'm sure he'll say the same for me, do you know what I mean? That's the sport, but Curtis as a human being, from my experience at least, is a good guy.
Just finally from me, the pound for pound debate rages on. Dana White, whenever he gets a chance, he'll tell you John Jones is the man. Other people will say he's not active enough, and you're in a position to comment on that. What do you think?
What is this pound for pound bullshit? It's a load of rubbish. It's like saying, it just doesn't even make sense. Like, don't get me started on that shit. It's just like, how can you have a pound for pound? What does that mean if everyone's the same size? So how can you compare Demetrius Johnson's style to Brock Lesnar's style and say if they're the same? Like, they've got completely different attributes. It's like, I've got a bulldog, right? It's like saying, right, if my bulldog had a really long neck, it would win a giraffe or the bulldog. Like, it's absolute bullshit. How can you even compare it? It's a load of rubbish.
Tom here. How much of this fight is mental due to the way the first fight with Curtis ended?
Every fight's mental. Every fight's like a solid 50% mental, in my opinion. For me, that fight's in the past. I'm not focused on that too much. That wasn't really a fight. Curtis is a good guy. He brings good skills. He's great everywhere, and we're two different guys now than we were 2 years ago. MMA moves really quick, so yeah, this is a new fight for me, really.
And you were Muhammad Makayev's first ever Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coach. What was it like? What has it been like seeing his rise up this flyweight division?
Yeah, I don't know. Did he tell you that?
He said it in an interview.
Oh right, maybe, I don't know, because I used to teach a kids class and he would come to the kids class, so that's how it worked. Yeah, I've known Muhammad since he was like 11, 12 years old, since he first came to this country, really. I mean, I'm not involved in his career anymore. I don't know what he's doing at the moment, but I speak to him all the time. We're friends. But since before he was even fighting, really, he's like special. He's a special guy, and I believe he's definitely going to be a champion in the flyweight division for sure.
What do you think of his fight with Manel Kape?
In all honesty, and this is nothing against Manel Kape, I don't really watch flyweight MMA, so I don't really know much about him, to be honest. So I don't know how the fights. I don't have an accurate assessment. I watch Mohammed because Mohammed's my friend, and I'm interested in him, obviously. As far as the flyweight divisions, usually, in all honesty, I'm fast forwarding the flyweights.
Tom, just to answer you right, in terms of it being a Manchester card, and I know you're not the main event, but do you feel more pressure because this is everything that you asked for in terms of coming to Manchester?
Are you saying that the UFC are in Manchester because of me? Is that what you're saying?
I feel like you're
That's what it sounds like. I'll embrace that if you are. I'm just joking. I feel pressure at every fight. I really don't want to get knocked out in front of millions of people. So, regardless if it's in Manchester or wherever else it is, I'm feeling the pressure. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I'm definitely feeling the pressure, but I'm not feeling it any more than normal right now. But at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, when the walls are vibrating, when I'm in the changing rooms and I can hear the crowd, maybe I'll feel different. But right now, it feels quite normal.
And what was your And what would your advice be to the other fighters who are in Manchester? What would you have them doing while they're here?
To be honest, like, I've travelled quite a bit with fighting now, and you can't really enjoy the places where you go when you're fighting. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're stressed out, so you can't really enjoy it. But I was saying the other day to somebody, like, if you're coming to Manchester to like have a good time and watch a fight, I personally think it might be the best city in the world for that. Like, to show up, to go to some bars, to explore in the daytime and watch a good scrap on a weekend and then leave the day after. Probably the best city in the world, mate, in my opinion.
So that's the 2 title fights covered off here on the podcast this week. We'll throw a couple more interviews in here just to wrap things up. And it's the 3rd fight on the card. It's the one that possibly has got the most heat behind it than all of the others, although Mohammed Mokaev and Manel Kape are doing their best to have a fight before the fight. There's been all sorts going on this week. There's been stuff going on in Vegas at the PI. There's been skirmishes outside the PI. There was a scuffle outside the fighter hotel last night, which has been widely reported since. Fingers crossed they both make it to fight night. They're both fit to go and we get to see them in the cage. But the fight I wanted to just talk about and add on to the end of this podcast this week is the 3rd bout on the card, a lightweight fight between Paddy Pimblett and King Green. Formerly known as Bobby Green, he has legally changed his name, so I have to respect that. He's now King. And he came in and was absolutely on fire on media day. He was talking at 100 miles an hour. He had plenty to say. I managed to stop him in his tracks with one question where, after he'd gone on a long tirade about everything he didn't like about Paddy, I just sort of stopped him and said, okay, you've said all this stuff. As a fighter, what does he do well? What are you impressed by and where do you need to be wary of him? And it just stopped him in his tracks. It was probably the quietest he was in the entire session. And then he gave a great answer to that as well. But King Green, larger-than-life personality, always gets in the cage and puts on a show for the fans, whether they want him to win or want him to lose. He's one of those throwback fighters who just goes in there and looks to entertain, and I think that will be no different on Saturday night. He was certainly entertaining during media day. Have a listen to this.
How we doing good today, guys?
Good, thank you.
Cheers. Cheers. It's called the Englishman.
Well, King, right here, obviously hostile territory here in Manchester. Is this an environment that you thrive in, come across the pond and challenging one of their hometown fighters?
I don't know if it's been so hostile yet. I've been getting love. I didn't know I'm international, I've been getting love. I got one objective, go out there and do what I do. I'm not really tripping about the crowd or anything like that. That's not even important. They can't fight. They can't get in the cage, and so it's just me and him.
Bilal was in here too, and he said he was surprised at the amount of love he would get walking around the city. Were you expecting maybe a more hostile reaction, and that kind of caught you off guard?
Yeah. Be honest, I was kind of shocked. Like, I done met at least a good 10 people said, "Hey, fuck Patty up." I'm like, "What? You're English? You're from over here?" He's like, "Yeah, but we don't like him. He talk too much. He's like this." I'm like, "Wow." So I like it.
He was in here earlier, and he said he doesn't want to call you king. His reasoning was, CTE is real when he's talking about you. So, what's your reaction to him not wanting, call you by the name that you've chosen?
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. This is the thing. He's been talking a lot, and I feel like it's been kind of pissing me off. But then I realized, when I started thinking about it today, I was like, man, my shit has been tested through time. We know what I do. I do this every time. Yeah, you come up short a little once in a blue moon, cool. But his has not been tested. He has to go in there and deal with that, And especially to say what you're saying, you got to go back that up. Like his stinker fight, he threw a fight against Tony. That shit was a stinker. When I went to Tony, it was a totally different reaction in the two fights.
You said that he's been talking about you, but he brought up a video from, I think, a couple of years ago, and you said that you started this by videotaping him and saying stuff, and you're the first person to bring him up. So, in your mind, where did this actually start?
He's correct. The thing is, the kid was getting a little too brash, Like, I'm a humble guy. I believe in being humble. For some reason, he keeps kind of calling me the cocky guy. He's a cocky fucker. But, to me, it's like, I've earned my spot. I've been here for so long. I think I'm here 12 years now, fighting. And not just 12 years where I fight once a year and I hang out and then I come back the next year and I fight. Like, no, consistently, like, doing 4 or 5 fights a year, And so, for me, it's a little bit different where I've earned my spot. That guy was running his mouth and doing all this barking and I'm like, who is that guy, And then he got into it with Ariel and he was trying to make Ariel pay him. I'm like, what? Ariel don't pay nobody. Ariel don't pay Conor McGregor. Why do we gotta pay that guy? And so he just started like acting like he was like the big shit, And it's like, man, you don't know. Like, I think that the problem for me is like I call him the spoiled kid. The spoiled kid. Certain kids that don't know that you got the whole house. Everything's been built around you. And I think it goes back for me to like my days where I come from, like because I didn't have a mom and dad. I seen those kids act like that at school. I'm like, man, they don't even know how they treat their mom and their dad. They're like spoiled, And he acts the same way. It's like he doesn't realize the UFC's working with him, giving him every opportunity. They're building you. I had to earn it. They had to put me through the fire. I've been forged by fire. They built you, And there's a difference between us too. And so, I don't want to talk too much, but.
Well, kind of going off of that, even when you made your debut, like all the way back against Jacob Volkman to now, like you said, you went through the fire, and Patty's kind of had this rise in popularity. Does any sort of part of you resent like the UFC's kind of putting all this behind him when you've been doing this for so long?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's the spoiled kids versus the cool kids. The real ones. Like, you don't know that he's getting just the door open. He gets to walk through it, and all he has to do is shut up, smile, and he's got the whole oyster, But somewhere in there, he has to start getting brash. I feel like once you start winning, you can get drunk off of it, Where you start feeling yourself, and you're like, man. And he starts talking shit. He's feeling himself, like, yeah. But somebody hasn't popped that bubble yet, Nobody's burst the bubble and let you know, like, that's a false reality. So he came over here to my side of it. I'm like, oh, there he is. That's that guy's been talking shit. So, he said I was scared to go up to him or something. First of all, I was with my girl, and I noticed he was with his girl. And the girl I was with, she's a gangster. She would have jumped in the fight with me and probably tried to beat his girlfriend up or something like that. So it's like, I just knew the situation what it was going to be. I was like, nah, it's probably not a good idea. I'm just going to pick at him and just go, hey, Patty, And I'll tell my guys to tag him and something to let him know I'm on his scent, It wasn't nothing like, oh my God, I'm going to pick him. I need to fight him right now or nothing like that. I'm just being funny. But that was the first time, and so I started it, yeah.
In terms of the actual fight, he's been on record saying, let's see if he has the balls to grapple me, and there's levels to this shit. So how do you see this fight playing out?
I'm telling him, if he wants to grapple, bro, there's grappling matches, there's a thing called Grappler Quest and all that. we came to see a fight. And I don't know about them, but I know the Englishmen want to see a fight. You know, they want to see somebody go out there and throw those knuckles. And so, if he wants to do a gravel match, I told him just lay on his back. Just lay on your back and see how it goes from there. Just go ahead and lay on your back and see if you want to do a jiu-jitsu match. I came to fight. And don't think I'm scared of the ground. Look at our 2 fights. I tapped Tony out. He couldn't even tap him. You know? I don't know why people keep thinking I don't got this grappling. So, he also tapped out, what's his name? Jordan Levy, yeah. So I hit Jordan up. Jordan is my guy. I hit him up. Let's train together, you know? I want to see what this is all about. I tapped out Jordan like 3 times. I was like, he didn't do anything special. But people don't know. So I got jiu-jitsu too. It's just like, it's not the thing that people want to see. Like, I'll listen to the crowd and they go, boo. I'm like, oh, that's not a good sign. So I don't do those things, you know? Once my crowd starts letting me know they don't like what they want to see, I don't want to give you that you want to see. You guys pay for this, so I'm going to give you what you want.
Bobby, two more quick ones. I don't know if you saw, but on November 1st, they're going to introduce a new rule set that they approved that will allow 12.
Oh, I was going to be trying to tear him up right now. I thought it was already approved.
November
I was going to go 12 to 6 if he dropped his head down there. He's getting it 12 to 6. 12 to 6. But I guess not, okay.
They also are redefining the ground opponent, so you need more than just your hands on that. So I think
that's all November.
Yeah, November 1st.
Oh, okay. Man, I was about to be doing some shit. I was like, it's new rules. I tell my buddies, I'm going 12 to 6 on these guys.
Yeah.
I guess I gotta wait.
And then final one, can I just get your thoughts on the main and co-main?
Main and co-main. I like Aspinall. Tom's the shit, you know. Tom's, I feel like the new age heavyweight. Love to see his style, you know. I used to be like a Sergey fan, and he creamed Sergey, so I was like, man, I like the way he was bouncing and moving. I was like, look at this heavyweight move like that. So that was dope. Like, he's got it. And he understands more fighting to me and what fighting should look like. So I'm going with Tom on that one. I don't pick by what I think. I pick by who I like and who I think is the shit, you know. And then I'm gonna go with Leon. You know, Leon, headshot. You know, bang. Let's go.
Bobby, Paddy believes that he will knock you out on the feet. What have you made of his stand-up so far since his UFC debut?
See, that guy talks a lot. And the difference is he's got to back it up. He's got to back it up. He was shooting all over Tony. He was trying to sniff somebody's crotch, you know? To me, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. You got to prove it. He's going to knock me out. He's going to knock me out. And I'm being humble. That's a possibility. Anything's possible in this game. You can throw a lucky shot and catch a guy. But I've never seen him hurt a guy with one shot, you know? He's going to hit me with more than one shot. I don't know. I don't see it possible.
Are you enjoying the verbal back and forth with him? Do you feel like it's going to bring out the best of you?
I think he is, you know? I got this thing when you start saying certain things to me, I take it so personal that, like, I don't forget it, and it pushes me to a new level. My coach is like, man, he's excited for this fight because he knows most guys don't say stuff like this, you know? So it gets me to another place. When I finally find something I can find on him, that's what I did to Dawson. I mean, that's what I did to whatever his name is. All these, Alaquinta, you know, those guys that got finished. They were saying little things that I was like, oh, he said something that's interesting, now I'm mad. And so he didn't put me in that place where I'm going to lose myself.
When you get in that flow state with that crisp boxing, it's really exciting to watch. But I think your opponents get that confidence from when you drop your hands. Is that something that you'll still be looking to do on Saturday night? I know it's like a taunting aspect that you like to do, get them into a false sense of confidence. Is that something that will always be a part of your game?
It's the thing that sets me apart from everyone else. Who else you see out there with their hands down? I'm the only guy. I don't know what that was, but okay. But yeah, I'm that only guy, you know. I gotta be something that's different from everybody else. You know, I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't look like everybody else, as you can see. You know, I don't want to be like nobody else. And so, to me, those things are more important than just trying to win a fight. Like, to impress the English men is more important to me than to go out there and win the fight. Some things are more important than just winning. Those guys got lost in that. I was impressed on the package I'm bringing. Every time I come, it's this, you know. You're gonna get a 90%. Oh, that was a fight of the night type of stuff. Energy with me, and so I like to stay more so there, you know. It's a lot behind what I do and what I do it.
Earlier today, there's an interview came out with Paddy where he admitted that 5 weeks ago his coaches were considering pulling him from the fight because mentally he wasn't feeling up for a camp. When you hear that, is that something you can take? Can you take anything away from that, or do you think, hey, he's just dealing with his own personal battle and it's nothing to do with it?
Did he say why?
He just said he was feeling depressed. There's a lot of stuff going on.
He said that it was the hardest camp because he had his babies.
There was some other stuff as well. I think he lost.
You know, and that was bothering him. And so I have to make sure he knows I had a baby. Like, he had his babies like a year ago, you know? I had babies during this actual camp. And that's the difference between me and him. I'm going to keep proving it. That's the difference between you and I. There's levels. And I can name 1,000 things why we different. 1,000 things why we're different. I had babies during this camp. My baby a month old now. So that means I had it in camp, you know? And so, don't even trip. I'm going to show the difference between us.
Do you look at him, you said he's like the spoiled kid, right? You're the guy who went through the fire. Do you think it's almost like your duty to the other guys like you, the other veterans, to prove that, hey, these young guys might be getting all the shine from the promotion, but if they don't have the skill, they can't beat us?
Facts, you know? It's just what it is. And I keep hearing so many people, you know, kick his ass. Like, I've never seen so many people want to see him get his ass kicked. It's kind of amazing to me. I'm like, what the? I would think you would like him. No. Everybody wants to see him get his ass kicked. Sheesh.
King over here. You said a lot about Paddy's character and his personality. As an actual fighter, what do you think he does well, and what do you think you need to be most wary of when you're in there with him on Saturday?
This should be I'm not trying to be an asshole or anything like that, because this is gonna sound wild, but I want to say nothing. But like, I'm not trying to discredit him like that either. Okay, I'm not trying to be like him and talk a bunch of shit and put the man down. I'm saying he's not bad at nothing. Okay, but I don't know. I just see like, oh, you're not like. There's certain levels at this that you can see, because I've been on the war field so long that I can look at a warrior and go, oh, that's a warrior right there. I can see, oh, he's a warrior, she's a warrior, you know? Just in a matter of a minute of watching your fight. I can watch how you move, what you do, and how you're doing your setups. Tells me how long you've been in this game and how well you're versed at this. And I went, oh, he doesn't know that. Oh, he does this thing. He doesn't do that well. Interesting. He should know that by now if he thinks he's this and that, you know? But that's just my own take. I'm not trying to really put the man down. I'm having a good time out here. I'm going to kick his ass. I'm going to laugh. I'm going to fucking talk shit to him because I know what I'm doing. Like, he doesn't know what he's about to get into. He couldn't find a guy in England that looked like me or moved like me. He couldn't find not one person here. I can find 1,000 hymns.
And in terms of your career, you know, you've been in the UFC fighting at the top level for a long time now, putting on exciting fights over and over again. At this stage in your career, what is the main career goal for King Green right now? This new chapter of your career under your newly adopted name.
It's been the same goal. The goal ain't never changed. Get some money, you know? Get some money and get a lot of it. But really, like I got 3 houses right now. I got an apartment complex. So paying those things off now, just having ownership. That's why I call myself king. Also, is me and my boys were arguing, and I was like, especially with black guys. There's a bunch of black guys in the room. You can't tell a black guy he's not a king. Everybody feels like you're a king, and everybody wants to be a king. It's just their thing with black guys. So I'm like, this is the thing though. Where's your castle? And they're like, I got a house. I got an apartment that I rent. You know, I got a house that I rent. I'm like, yeah, but any day if you don't pay your rent, they'll take that motherfucker. You know. And so it's about ownership. And I was like, you don't own it. You're not a king. And so the work that it takes to own a home, it takes a lot of work. It takes 30 years on a 30-year mortgage. It takes a blah, blah, blah. You know. And so for me, I own one of my houses already. You know. I'm going on my second to be owned. And so it's like ownership. You know. You can't take this from me. I built this. I earned this, and it's mine.
Thanks very much.
King, back here.
Final question.
King.
Oh, yeah, there we go. I got one more question. Who is he? Do I get to pick who? I want to pick who. Who all had their questions? I like the guy with the red hair. I got to give it to the guy with the red. Oh, no. We got to give it to my boy over here. Give it to my boy. Go ahead. Got to give you some love.
Obviously, you're no stranger to Arman and Islam, so I just wanted your thoughts on how you think that fight's going to go down.
Oh, I don't like your question. Never mind. I got to shake it up a little bit. Let's shake it up.
We've seen Paddy with the orange shorts. When are you getting your custom shorts?
Oh, don't you know how to piss me off? See, you know how to piss me off. That's why I'm kicking his ass a little bit more. That's what I'm talking about. The spoiled kids. I worked so hard for this fucking company. I took so many fights on short notice, broken hand, this and that. Threw the company on my back 1,000 times. Fought a guy, had to come back to fight Islam 10 days later. I've done the most for this fucking company to get my shorts. But this guy just gets to come here and walk in and get them. It's like, wow, okay. That's what I'm talking about, that spoiled shit. All he had to do is say, hey, I want my shorts. They give me shorts. So now I'm going to kick his ass for that reason. I'm kicking his ass for that. And that's it. Let's go.
So there you go. King Green, don't call him Bobby. King Green is ready to put on a show against Paddy Pimblett, who he believes is not on his level. And he plans to demonstrate that in emphatic fashion on Saturday night. However, Mr. Paddy Pimblett is a man looking to really prove a point himself. His personality is such that if you aren't a fan of him, you kind of really don't like him. I'm personally, I quite like the guy. I enjoy the way he fights. Sure, he has holes in his game, but those holes are gradually being closed up. He is showing improvement fight to fight. His preparations are getting better fight to fight. He's had a tricky time of it in the lead up to this one, and he sort of opens up a little bit about that over the course of his media day chat. It's a real contrast. 1 minute he's sort of trash talking his opponent, and then the next minute he's talking incredibly thoughtfully about mental health and things like that. So whenever Paddy does talk, he's definitely worth listening to. And whenever he fights, he's absolutely worth watching. And his fight with King Green could steal the show on Saturday night. Have a listen to this from Paddy. Interesting stuff from the baddie, who's looking forward to fighting in his old school orange Sakuraba shorts. And he's looking forward to proving a few people wrong and showing that he is a legit UFC lightweight and potentially a contender in the 155-pound division. Have a listen to Paddy.
Paddy, I feel like you're always a feature on the UK card, so does this one even feel any different because we're a bit closer to home, or is this just, hey, another UFC London just in a different place?
No, yeah, you're right. It's we're in the north now, you know what I mean? We're not down south. It's on a 4-hour drive away to 40-minute drive from my house. So, yeah, we're back in the north, which is nice. And I can't wait to blow the roof off this new arena.
Yeah. You know, obviously you're fighting Bobby or King Green now. What are your thoughts on the name change? I know you said that you won't be calling him that, but do you think that just kind of speaks to how quirky a character he is in general, or do you think it's a weird thing? What do you make of the whole thing itself?
Oh, it shows what a dickhead he is. You know what I mean? Like, imagine being nearly 40 years of age and changing your name to King. It's embarrassing, lad. You know what I mean? Grow up, innit? Like, as I've said in other interviews, CTE is real.
I feel like every time they put a test in front of you and you pass it, the fans kind of want to change how important that test was after the fact. Do you think that Bobby or King will prove to the fans that you're actually a legitimate lightweight and something that can climb the rankings because he is still active and he is still winning fights?
No matter what. Until I get the belt, people are going to doubt me. People are going to say, this and that. Like as I said, my last fight with Tony was a lose-lose. If I would have lost, it would have been being beat by a washed up Tony. I dominated the fight, but I only beat a washed up Tony and I couldn't even finish him. You know what I mean? It's mad. You know, it's like, as I said, I can't win. Obviously, I just get on with it because I can't wait to prove people wrong here though. I've always seen, you'll never be ranked, he's not good enough to be ranked. And when I win this fight on Saturday night, I'm going to be ranked. But as I say, even in my comments now, it's like, the UFC are giving him another has-been. Like, I can't win, lad, no matter what.
In an interview with Sky Sports, you said that a few weeks ago your coaches were talking about pulling you out of this fight because you weren't in the mental space to take the fight. Did you know during that time that you weren't feeling it, or when they have to tell you, hey, we don't think you're feeling it, that's when you started to realise?
No, it was a bit of both, you know what I mean? I knew there was stuff going on externally, stuff going on in my head, and obviously when Paul said it to me, I was upset. I was not happy with him, I was angry, but obviously he's my coach lad and he's like my second dad, and he's only looking out for my best interest. But since that moment, like, I've had one of the best camps I've ever had. A couple of weeks out, like as I say, 4, 5, 6 weeks out, I was thinking, oh my god, this is the worst camp of my life, and I'm going into me arguably my toughest fight. But then the last couple of weeks has just been like quality, and looking forward to getting in the octagon again and beating this idiot up.
You know, I think everyone appreciates that you are open about this subject, right? But doing it at this point of fight week, you know, now that everyone, including me, is going to ask you about it, you're almost inviting pressure onto yourself by even being this open about it. Is it just something that you feel like you have to do, or is it something that helps you actually talking about it?
Yeah, obviously getting it off my chest helps, but like it was Ricky's anniversary 2 days ago, you know what I mean? So, been thinking about it a lot more. And it's been bad again lately. Another lad in Liverpool killed himself a couple of weeks ago. Young MMA fighter Conor Hitchens killed himself like 3 months ago, and he was younger than me. You know what I mean? So I just feel like it's something that needs talking about, and I'll be honest, lads, seeing Sky Sports put that interview up and some of the responses to it are fucking disgusting, lad. Like people saying I'm just doing it for a PR stunt. Like why would it invite pressure on myself like that for a PR stunt? You know what I mean? It's mad. Like people saying I'm only doing it for that reason, when I know several people who've killed themselves, and I've thought about it in the past. So why would I bring that sort of pressure on myself? But again, I do it because I feel like I need to, and I don't want more people to kill themselves, especially men. They just don't talk to people and kill themselves. But like some of the responses to me saying that are like, well, just kill yourself then. You might as well kill yourself. That's what some of the responses have been, lad. And other people have been like quoting them and putting, no wonder men don't talk, when the responses are like this. Like one of the ones that's proper pissed me off is fucking that video, people saying I'm bullying people in the pub. People saying, oh, he's a pisshead, he's on the ale and he's bullying people in the pub, coked up. It's like, lad, I was 2 weeks out from a fight, lad. Do you think I had a drink? I had a diet Red Bull and a fucking water. You know what I mean? And all them people that I'm with are my mates. I went to school with them all, I grew up with them all, they're all coming to fight on Saturday. And they all jumped on me 10 minutes earlier when Cole Palmer scored and celebrated on me. So when my bet come in and I got a last minute winner, lad, I celebrated on them. That's just how the world works, lad.
Going back to King for now, you said that he sort of could be your toughest opponent. Do you think he is?
Well, I think Jared Gordon still my toughest opponent. Jared Gordon is so underrated that it's unbelievable. Even I underestimated him going into that fight, I'm not going to lie. Thought I was going to run through him, and then when I injured my foot in the first round, it was a completely different ball game. It was my toughest fight to date. Everyone in here probably still thinks I lost that fight. You know what I mean? It was, when I watched it back, it was a very, very, very close fight. But I still think I won when you watch it without commentary. I can understand why people think I lost when you watch it with commentary. But Jared was a very tough fight, and I think Jared was beating Bobby up until the point when he decided to be a ram and flying headbutt him. So, yeah, like Jared or Bobby are my toughest fight, definitely.
You obviously had some beef with Jordan Levitt. We all remember the teabagging incident. Then at the press conference with Tony, you went back and forth with him. Where does Bobby or King rank on the beef list for you?
Probably higher than them all, because 2.5 years ago, when I was sitting with my wife at a show, at a UFC event, he was videoing the back of my head, talking about me, when I probably didn't even know who he was at the time, you know what I mean? And he was sitting there videoing the back of my head, talking about me. And then he's trying to come out and say, oh, you mentioned me, Perry, you talk about me. No, you was talking about me 2.5 years ago, lad. You know what I mean? So don't try and spin the narrative now when you've been wanking over fighting me for 2.5 years.
Going off of that, I think your phrase was, let's see if he has the balls to grapple me. Do you think he actually will try to shoot on you, or do you think he's,
No, he knows better. But the funny thing about that again was people saying, oh, he's scared to strike with him, that's why he's saying this, he's scared to strike. When no one want to come out and try and take his head off his fucking shoulders. But he done an Insta story saying, anyone can knock anyone out with a lucky punch, but you think you can do something what no one in the UFC has done. Let's find out and all that. And I was like, sound, if you want to find out, hit the deck and grapple with me, let's see what happens, because I know I'll drown.
You also mentioned you don't think people give you the credit until you get the belt, but you also, revealed your contract situation is almost up with the UFC. So does that mean fans can maybe expect you to in the UFC some more if your goal is still the UFC belt?
Why would I leave the UFC? You know what I mean? That got took so much out of context. Like every single thing I do, people spin a narrative on it and change it. You know what I mean? I can't go for this shit without people talking about it, lad, and spinning it, saying, oh, he's shit on someone's face. You know what I mean? Nothing I do cannot be spun out of context, lad. Like, what I said in the interview was, obviously, the UFC, I'm gonna get a new contract, but if I got offered millions to box some dickhead YouTuber, then I'd do it. Who wouldn't with prize fighters? But yeah, my contract's already getting negotiated. Like, as if the UFC are just gonna let me go, lad. They're just fucking messing.
Joey here for Title Sports Network. Ask and you shall receive. Paddy, those orange shorts are finally here.
Yeah, finally here, lad, know what I mean? I was slightly pissed off a couple of weeks ago when I got the call from my manager saying, Bobby's picked red, I can't have red. It's like, what? What's going on here? You know what I mean? I don't want to wear white or black, I want to wear red, you can fuck off. I even said to him, tell them I'm Dutch, so I can wear orange shorts. But it ended up working out alright in the long run, lad. He can wear red all he wants. Over the years, lad, when I fought on Cage Warriors, I lost when I wore red twice. And as I said before, people think I lost the Jared Gordon fight in red. People think the Tony fight was close in red somehow. So I'm glad to be getting orange back. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to get a nice finish in it like I used to do on Cage Warriors.
Paddy, when you look at Bobby's fighting style, he's got very crisp boxing, but he likes to drop his hands, and we've seen him receive some bad knockouts due to that. Is that why you're so confident that you'll get a knockout against Bobby Green?
Yeah, I think he's underestimating me strike and he's underestimating me power a lot. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't believe in my own power until like the last few months. Like, my boxing coach Chris, me coaches in the gym, Ellis, Paul, Adam, they've like said to me, and even my sparring partners and that have said to me like recently, lad, you don't realise how hard you hit. And the fact that you got knocked out last year, I think twice, or Dober might have been the year before, but Dober knocked him out, and then that terrible stoppage against Jalen Turner where he took so many unnecessary strikes. I just think he's chinny, you know what I mean? Like, he come back and he beat Jim Miller, yeah. Jim Miller's a grappler, and Jim Miller rocked him in the first round. So, I know for a fact if I put a hand on his chin, or a shin on his chin, that he's not going to get up at. He's going to be stiff as a board.
You was discussing those mental health struggles, and in terms of when you're going through a tough time, just talk about how much you value that support network that you have around you, your wife, your teammates, your family, helping you through those times.
Yeah, I've said before, lad, and I wouldn't still be here if it wasn't for my wife. Without Laura, lad, I would have took my life a long time ago. But with her, with my family, with my team, my mates, you know what I mean? Like, where did that interview come out yesterday or today? I've had about 6 messages off my mates, or my boys who I grew up with, like, lad, you're alright, you're alright. But as I said in that, I feel good again now, you know what I mean? I feel great again. A couple of weeks ago I was getting in touch with Jane, who works at James's place, which is like mental health for men where you go and speak. I was getting in contact with her to have a chat with her, you know what I mean? Just try and get through it. And as I say, I did, got through it, and lad, I'm ready for anything now, lad.
And I know Renato Moicano was someone that you wanted to fight. He's now matched up with Benoit Saint-Denis. What do you make of that fight, and are you looking for the winner of that one?
Yeah, like, to be honest, whether Renato wins or loses, I'd still fight him. Like, I think it'd be one of the funniest build-ups to a fight ever. I think he's hilarious. And I think a season of The Ultimate Fighter, me and him as coaches, would be absolutely fantastic. I think everyone would love to see that. He's a proper character, lad. And Yeah, I'd love to fight Moicano. I'll be honest, I actually, at the end, Benoit Saint Denis, about 6 months ago, asking did he want to come over to England and get some training in. I'd go over to Paris and get some training with him because it's not far, you know what I mean? It's only a quick flight and it'll bring both of our games on a lot.
Best of luck on Saturday.
Just 2 on front right here.
Yeah, you weren't happy when he got put it in on before, was you? Wasn't happy, lad.
It just caught me off guard. I don't know if you saw, but on November 1st, they're going to do some rule changes that...
Oh yeah, they should. 12 to 6 elbow should be legal anyway, you know what I mean? I've always said that, it's a stupid rule, shouldn't be, like, shouldn't get disqualified for a 12 to 6 elbow, you know what I mean? I'm one of them that says John Jones is unbeaten.
Yeah, so you think John Jones should appeal and try to...
Oh, I think he will appeal and that loss will be gone, you know what I mean? He definitely will appeal and that loss will be gone. And also aren't they changing it so if you just have a hand down, you can get kneed in the head still?
You need at least another part of your body to be down to opponent, so like an elbow or shoulder or knee. It can't just be
your hand. Yeah. I've used that to my advantage before, like, I'm not gonna lie. I've just put a hand down so I can't get kneed, but I completely understand it. I think it should be like that. It really should. I'm with it. I'd be game for knees to a grounded opponent, lad. You know what I mean? Sure. I'd be game for that. Like, not stomps, but I'd be game for soccer kicks as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it'd make it even more interesting, make it spicier.
And then just last one, can I get your thoughts on the main and co-main event for UFC 304?
Yeah, obviously I'm backing the fellow Englishman, goes without saying. I think Bilal's got so much better since the first fight, but I think Leon was on his way to finishing him in that fight, and I think he gets a finish. And obviously, I think Tom's coming for revenge, even though that last fight only lasted 20 seconds, but Curtis is his toughest test to date, definitely, stylistically.
Paddy, over here. Training at Next Gen MMA with the likes of Luke Riley, Shamrock, Adamco, and many more. What is it like training with those monsters in the room, and who replicated Bobby Green in this camp for you?
Yeah, my sparring partners are brilliant, you know what I mean? I don't really have to go anywhere else to get any spars in because I have such a talented lightweight, featherweight and welterweight on the mat. To be honest, Luke has done his style absolutely fantastic, lad. When I spar with Luke, he switches, he goes southpaw for me, he has his hands down and all that. Like, Luke's a big talent coming through, and you're all going to see him real soon. He's going to introduce himself in a big way, and he's phenomenal, and he's only young. But also I've got to give a big shout out to Liam Malloy, lad. Liam Malloy, he's only a young pro from our gym, but he's a southpaw, and he's done a lot of rounds with me leading up to this, and a lot of fight run-throughs, and I can't thank him enough as well.
And your hair is iconic, but against Tony Ferguson you decided to do braids. What are you doing this time out?
Yeah, I'll be getting cornrows again. It sways people's minds when I get it with a little punch and my hair goes like that, you know what I mean? As I say, when I watched the Jared Gordon fight back, he was hitting me with little shots and the commentator's like, oh, he's being rocked. And it's like, no, it hardly fucking hit me, you know what I mean? But because my hair moves like that, people are like, oh, he's hurt, when I'm not. So from this day forward, I will be getting cornrows.
Paddy, can I mention the town there that's at Next Gen? You've mentioned before that you'd love to fight at Anfield. Is that something you've discussed with anyone at Liverpool or anyone at the UFC? And how likely do you think that would be to happen one day? I mean, Anfield's hosting big contests this summer. I mean, surely UFC would be made at home there.
Yeah, I've spoke to people at Anfield about it, lad. I've spoke to like the COO of the football club, and they're all willing to and happy to get it on. You know what I mean? They want to do it. They've said it to me plenty of times. I sit in the Legends Lounge in the Anfield when I go to the game, and like I've been in the boardroom and stuff like that, where the CEO of the club and that's it, and they want to do it. You know what I mean? So I'd love the UFC to get in contact with them and get it done.
Would you wait for a title fight, or?
No, we don't need to wait for a title fight, lad. I'll sell that out without a title. It goes without saying. And what's in Anfield now, like 60,000, and then seats on the floor, be about 70, 80,000, lad. And I'll just sell that out, I promise you now.
Absolutely. And your first fight as a father, does that change anything, your mentality going into a fight? Obviously, you're not just doing it for yourself now, and your wife, obviously, you've got kids at home to kind of build their future as well. I mean, does that change your mentality at all?
Yeah, of course, a little bit it does, because it's not just me that I've got to care about now. I've got to put food on the table for my family, and that's what I'm coming to do. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna let Bobby Green take food out my daughter's mouth. I need to win this fight to propel myself to the next level, and that's what I'm gonna do. It's as simple as that. There's no way he's stopping me from feeding my family.
That's up Saturday.
Paddy, just answer you right. In terms of what you
Last
said
question.
before, in terms of what you said before, you can't even go to the toilet without a story being spun. How tiring is it being Paddy?
It's annoying, like, you know what I mean? Literally, I can't move, lad, without people saying I'm doing it for a reason, or I've done this or I've done that. Like, lad, remember when I knocked on that woman's house because my dog had a shit outside the house? Lad, people were saying that was staged. How can I stage my dog having a piss out of his arse, lad? You know what I mean? How can I stage that, lad? I can't. You know, like, people just love to talk shit about me, lad. And as I said earlier, people love taking things out of context. Like that video the other week, you know what I mean? People just took it completely out of context and made loads of lies up about it. Where if all you've got to do is come and speak to me about it and fact check. And I spoke to a couple of England fans and explained it to them, and they were all like, oh yeah, I understand, mate. You know what I mean? Where people just jump on the bandwagon of hate because it's popular to hate on me and to make stuff up about me. So I'm used to it, lad. It's been happening since I was an amateur at 16, beating people up in a shithole by ours called the Olympia. Anyone else? No? We're good?
Yep.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Paddy the Baddy Pimlet, ready to roll ahead of his bout with King, don't call him Bobby, Green on Saturday night at UFC 304. As I said, everything's kind of off kilter this week because it's all happening at the end of the day rather than in the middle of the day, which is what you would expect if you were fighting on local time zone, but you're not. It means that for the media, we have a problem. And the last time this happened was in Manchester, actually, for UFC 204, 100 pay-per-views ago, back in 2016. Michael Bisping making the first defence of the UFC middleweight title against old rival Dan Henderson. And that fight was also held in the middle of the night. That was at the MEN Arena back then, the Manchester Arena, as I think it's known now. And that was a weird one. There was a group of us journalists who were basically sharing an Airbnb for the week, and we decided in a slightly crazy move that we would live on US time for the entire week. So we would sleep during the day, we would get up and work during the night, and basically keep West Coast time zone, even though we were in the UK. And I'm not going to lie, it messed us up royally through the first couple of days. It was a hard slog, but as the week wore on, we began to adjust. Everything started to work quite nicely. And then when fight night rolled around, when you really need to be on your game, turning your content around nice and quickly as the fights are taking place, we were wide awake and with it. And the rest of the people on press row were kind of like really struggling to stay awake. And it got to the point where the UFC PR staff were handing out cans of Monster Energy to press row to try and keep some of the more tired members of the media from pushing up the Zs on press row. So it was a bit of a strange night, to say the least. But from a personal point of view, I've not been doing that this week. I'm living on UK time, and I think on Friday it's just going to be a stay up as late as possible Friday night, sleep in as long as possible on Saturday, and get to the arena late afternoon, early evening, Saturday evening for fight night, which will be a big night. Packed card of fights. Almost every fight, I think, has got a British or Irish fighter involved. In fact, I do think every fight has got a British or Irish fighter, with the exception of the Modestas Bukauskas fight, because Modestas is billed as being Lithuanian. However, he lives and trains in the UK, so we kind of adopt him as a Brit as well, even though he proudly flies the flag of Lithuania, and rightly so, former Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion. But every other fight on the card has either got a Cross of St. George, the Welsh Dragon, Irish tricolour, or the Union flag. So British or Irish fighter in virtually every fight on the card. So it's going to be a good fun fight night rather, here in Manchester. So that's our fight night on Saturday. I'm recording this on a Thursday. Thursday is just gone 1 o'clock here in the afternoon. And we've got the UFC 304 press conference coming later today. But what we also have tonight is Cage Warriors. Cage Warriors have got a show in Manchester tonight. 19-fight card from the BEC Arena. That will be live on UFC Fight Pass. If you have that, do check it out. There's going to be some fun stuff on that card. And if you want to get the stream up early, a few names to keep an eye on. Teddy Stringer, former amateur standout, one of Team England's top most experienced amateur fighters, fought multiple times in IMAF, now making his way in the pros. He's involved in I think he's on the early prelims at Cage Warriors, fighting at, I think, 160-pound catch weight. He's one of the young prospects who went over to San Diego as part of Graham Borland's MMA Fight Academy project, which is run in conjunction with Mola TV, the Indonesian TV company. And it's like a reality show. But they've built a team out there now. And so he is a part of that. Other members of that team who are involved on Fight Night will be Fran Breen and Connor Wilson, both of whom train day-to-day at Next Gen, one of the top gyms in the UK, out of Liverpool, alongside the likes of Paddy Pimblett, Molly McCann, Adam Cullen, who's also on the Cage Warriors card. So load of talent coming through that gym. They're involved on that Cage Warriors card as well. So just a few names a little further down the card. You've got Stefano Paterno, the Italian welterweight. Very dangerous, very exciting welterweight to watch. Co-main event, Mason Jones against Michael Pagani, undefeated Italian. Lots of hype behind him. Mason Jones, former 2-division Cage Warriors champion, always brings it. One of the most exciting fighters to come out of the UK in a good few years. Always brings a great fight. More than happy to put himself in harm's way in order to do just a little bit more harm to his opponent. That one should be an absolute banger in the co-main event. And Dario Belandi, the middleweight champion of the world for Cage Warriors, will be looking to defend his belt in the main event against Robin Roos, who is joining Cage Warriors and looking to upset the apple cart by capturing the title very early in his time with the promotion. So that should be a good night. If you can get UFC Fight Pass, dive on that. Definitely be a part of that. Maybe have the press conference running on one browser window and Cage Warriors running on the other. And once the press is finished, settle in and watch the rest of the fights from the BEC Arena in Manchester. So they're going to get this fight week really underway with some good live fights tonight, Cage Warriors. I'm going to be there cage side, enjoying those after the press conference. And then Saturday, of course, it will be fight night. We have the weigh-ins on the Friday first, the fight before the fight, and then it all goes down late night, Saturday, Manchester, Co-op Live, UFC 204. Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad for the undisputed welterweight title. Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades for the interim UFC heavyweight title. Thanks for joining us for this special audio-only version of the RDX Sports Podcast. My name is Simon Head. You can follow me on the socials at Simon Head Sport on X and on Instagram. Follow RDX Sports across all socials. Make sure you're a part of that. If you haven't seen the viral video of Leon Edwards on the basketball court, do it. It's incredible. We asked him about that during media day, and he completely deadpanned it, which I thought was brilliant. But make sure you check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, make sure you're following RDX on all platforms, and you can check out Fight Night coverage and reaction on RDX Sports as the weekend progresses. But enjoy the fights this weekend, whether it's Cage Warriors, whether it's UFC, or whether it's a little bit of both. Have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you next week.